Hmm. Where's dude at, man? I already accepted his request like 3 times, didn't I? What's going down?
What's going on?
Is that Juju?
It is.
Is that what you call yourself?
That's what everyone calls me.
Oh, okay. It's not a disrespect.
No, no.
Okay. So I was skimming through your paper and you were talking about Islam and our understanding of Tawheed. Can you explain that for everybody?
Wait, what was I explaining in my paper?
That's what I want you to explain.
Which part of it?
I don't even have it on here, man. I would have to pull it up, really. But you were talking about Tawheed, and you were trying to draw an analogy between Tawheed and the Trinity when it comes to responding to these logical problems.
Right. Do you know what the principle I was trying to draw out of it?
I'm asking you, dude. You're the author of the paper. That's what I
No, I know.
really
I'm
need
just
to know.
asking if you know. Like, is this a rhetorical question or like what?
No, I don't, because I didn't read the whole paper.
Okay. The point that I was making in that section is not to explain the metaphysics of Tawheed. It was to say that if you formalize Tawheed using the is of identity, using the absolute identity operator, that mercy and lovingness collapse into each other. That was the point.
Hmm.
It was about a
And
formalization.
yeah, so
Likewise, if you formalize is the Father, is the Son, they collapse into each other with if you use the unqualified identity operator, no further qualifications.
and you believe that? You accept that?
Yeah. Just like
So
Tawheed would collapse if you formalize it using the same thing. It's the same thing, but it's not ad hoc,
yeah,
right?
what's that?
You wouldn't formalize it that way, right?
Formalize what? Tawheed?
Yeah, what you believe Allah is merciful, right?
Yes, I do.
You believe Allah is loving, right?
Yes, I do.
But you wouldn't formalize it using the absolute identity operator, right? Because you don't believe loving is identical to mercy, right? Or being merciful. You believe the
Yeah,
attributes are really distinct.
that's correct.
Right. So you agree that if you were to formalize it that way, um, that it would lead to stuff you don't believe in, namely that mercy is lovingness. That's the point in the paper that I'm making. I'm not saying this is a gotcha. I'm going to answer your question. Just likewise, because I chart it in the paper, likewise, if you formalize it, the Trinity, as you say, you correctly attribute to Cartwright, who formalizes the 7 statements as identity statements, you get a model in which collapses the Father into the Son. It's the same thing.
Yeah. So, but do Muslims do that, generally speaking?
Well, that's not the point, whether or not they do it. The point is about the objection, the LPT, which is that if you do formalize it as an objection, just in virtue of rejecting that formalization, you're not doing anything ad hoc. And I give an argument in the paper that if Muslims claim it's ad hoc, they would also have to say that they're however they formalize it as ad hoc, because as you said, they don't formalize it that way.
Yeah, but do you know what the difference between the two is?
Structurally or metaphysically, what are you saying? Like
No, I'm
logically or
saying
metaphysically?
the case. I'm saying the case between the Muslim accepting that Allah is identical to His mercy or His love or whatever attributes you want to put in there, versus a Christian Trinitarian saying that each of the persons is identical to the to God, whatever that's supposed to be.
Okay, you didn't answer my question, so I'm still confused because you can define a predicate as anything. You can say Jesus is identical to whatever the same God, but it not be identity. So just by saying identical to, just because I'm assuming you're going to say because Christians say the Father is identical to the essence and Muslims do not say the attributes are identical to the essence, but that's not the point. The point is that even if you say identical or identity, it doesn't force you into using the identity operator. That's the point my paper makes, is that it's a choice. It's a formalization, one in which just because you can formalize it using an is of identity doesn't mean you are doing anything ad hoc by rejecting that certain formalization because it doesn't accurately represent the set of statements in question, which is the point that I'm making in agreement with you. Muslims do not say that. So it doesn't represent the Muslim position correctly, just like your formalization of the LPT doesn't represent the Trinitarian statements correctly. It's the same thing.
It doesn't. What part of my representation of the Trinity in the seven statements is not accurate?
It's not the seven statements, it's the model you provided, the argument. When you model it in the seven statements, you can derive certain stuff. It's not just the informal language that's the issue, because informal language doesn't automatically translate into formal language. Otherwise, you know, like there would just be like one logical system or something. I guess that would be implied, or one model of something.
I don't think you understand the point, sir. You're not understanding.
Go ahead. Maybe I'm not. Go ahead. Maybe I'm not understanding.
Okay. The difference, let me just explain it to you without having to go through Socratic method. The difference in the case of the Muslim in response to your thing that you put forward regarding Tawheed and the Christian is that the mainstream position of Sunni Muslims is that we don't accept these as identity statements to begin with. Okay, we don't accept that that God is identical to any one of his attributes or anything of the sort. Whereas in the case of some Trinitarians, and certainly not all, some of them do actually accept this. That's the difference. So when you're saying that one is not ad hoc, or you're trying to say that if one is not ad hoc, then the other is also not ad hoc, it doesn't follow, because there's a difference in the two cases. In the first case with the Muslims, there is nobody, well, I shouldn't say there's no one, but it's a very, very minority opinion. It's not a mainstream view. We believe that the attributes are really distinct from each other and distinct from the essence.
That's the point. That's the point. The point is that when you're modeling, the model is supposed to be representing the set of statements in question, which means that's why in the paper I specify, which is not normally specified, adequate models, meaning that the truth conditions of what's in the model meets the informal statement's truth conditions. That's just to say something like non-contradiction. When we say non-contradiction, usually you'll hear people say it has to be in the same sense to be a contradiction. But nothing about a contradiction says that, right? That's just assumed. If you wanted to add an extra axiom, you could do that. It's the same thing that I did. If the model does not preserve the truth conditions, it's not an adequate model, meaning it's not a model of the statements in question. That's what you just implicitly agree to when you're saying the Muslim doesn't believe that it's a is statement in that sense. In the same way, Christians, when we say is God, my point here is that it gets confusing because is can, as you said in your paper, can be taken as predication or identity normally. Just by saying Jesus is God or is identical to God, that doesn't force you into identity, right? There's nothing about logic that tells you whether it's an is of identity or an is of predication. Nothing within the logical system tells you. That's a choice of the person modeling. That's the point that I'm making.
So you can choose either one, of course.
You can choose whatever you want, but you can't claim that it's a model of the Trinitarian statements.
Who?
You, because it doesn't preserve the truth conditions.
What do you mean I can't claim that it's a model of Trinitarian?
Okay, you're not understanding what I'm saying. You got to read my paper. I make it very clear.
If you want your paper, dude, I'm telling you that.
No, I'm saying you have to. It's helpful. If I'm modeling something, it's structurally equivalent to this. It's like me saying I have a contradiction. Here's P and not P. But you say, Johan, that's not a contradiction of Tawheed. That's just P and not P. Well, the issue is that it is a contradiction. It's just not preserving the truth conditions of the informal statements, right? So there's a contradiction, but it's not a contradiction about the statements. Just like when you say, well, I have a model. Well, the model doesn't preserve the truth conditions of the original statements, so it's not about the original statements. You can't claim it's about the Trinity. That's the point. If you do say it's about the Trinity, then I can say that my Tawheed model, that is an is of identity, is about Tawheed. But you wouldn't say that because it doesn't preserve the truth conditions. As you said, Muslims don't believe that. They don't believe that's true of Tawheed, right? It has to preserve the conditions.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. We're going off of what the person who's claiming to affirm the position believes.
Exactly. If we're going off what the person believes and the Christian does not believe the Father is the Son, but your LPT model derives that the Father is the Son, then your model is no longer about the Trinitarian's position. It's a random model or formalization.
No, it's saying that it would follow from one thing that they accept.
Yeah, that's what the point is, that it's derivable, meaning that in the model, everything that's derivable is already contained in the model. But now you're saying this model is about the Trinitarian statements. It's not. It's not about it anymore. It doesn't preserve the truth conditions. Now you have
It's
no standard for what model represents what set of statements because you don't care about preserving truth.
Bro, I think you're massively confused here. When we're talking about the is of identity in the first example, okay, of the persons being identical to God, whatever that's supposed to be, okay,
Okay.
we're deriving what follows or what's entailed by those statements. Of course, the Trinitarian does not accept that the Father is identical to the Son. We know that. We know that the Trinitarian doesn't accept that the persons are identical to each other. It's
When you
just
say
saying
that,
that if you interpret the statements in this manner, then this is what would logically follow under X, Y, and Z conditions. That's all
okay,
that it's being said.
okay, that you're saying that's all that it's saying. That's all I'm saying. If you interpret Tawheed under identity, what follows is that mercy is identical to loving. That's all I'm saying. That's equivalent to what you're saying right now.
Correct. And I'm saying that I don't interpret it that way.
Yeah, and I don't interpret it that way. So is there an LPT now?
Yeah, exactly. But are there Trinitarians that do?
No. If they're a Trinitarian that believes they don't believe the Father is the Son, but your model derives that the Father is the Son.
No, no. First of all, there are Muslims who believe in what you just said about the
I'm
Muslim
not. No, I'm
position.
not. Obviously, I'm talking about you because I've been talking about what you've accepted. That's obviously.
Right. So I'm talking about
I'm not
Muslims
talking
and
about
Christians
Shias
in
or your.
I'm talking about Muslims and Christians in general.
So you're not talking. So you're not talking about mainstream doctrine of the Trinity. You're talking about some heretical people
I
who do
am.
accept.
No, I am. I'm saying that there are some Trinitarians who believe that the Father is God, the Son is God, and the Holy Spirit is God, that those three statements are meant to be identity statements under classical identity.
When you say meant to be,
That's
you're.
how they interpret it.
And when you say interpretation, are you using the model theoretic sense of interpretation?
I'm saying that when they say that the Father is identical to God, they mean that whatever's true of the Father is true of God and vice versa.
Okay. Are you? You didn't answer
We're
my
limited
question.
to that.
Yeah, I know, but you're not answering my question. I don't mean this disrespectfully. Are you saying it in
Because
the
you're
like?
missing the whole point, dude.
Well,
You
let me
think that
just let me
you
let me
think that
say something.
you
Maybe
think
it'll
that
clear it
there's a
up for the both of us.
misrepresentation. There's no misrepresentation. We
Okay,
are
let me just say
saying
something
that
really
if
quick.
you
It'll
hold
clear it
this
up.
view, we're saying that if you hold that the Father is strictly speaking identical to God in the sense of classical absolute identity, then this is what follows from that. Now, the Trinitarian is going to deny that they believe that the Father is identical to the Son. However, we're going to say that there would be an
It's
inconsistency
not.
if they deny that the Father is not identical to the Son if they simultaneously affirm that the Father is identical to God in the sense of classical absolute identity.
You're not understanding. Look at
You're
the
not
Trin.
understanding, dude. You're thinking there's a misrepresentation. There is none.
You're not letting me speak. You got to be able to. I got to be able to speak for you to understand this. The Trinitarian, if they're a Trinitarian, and maybe I haven't clarified enough, Trinitarians, according to the people I'm talking about, do not believe the Father is the Son, right? They believe that there are
We
three
know that.
persons,
We know that.
of which are share the divine essence, of
Do
which the
they do
persons are
they
not identical to
believe
each.
that the Father is absolutely identical to God?
Absolute identity in the formal sense?
Oh my God, bro.
Do you
You're
know the
talking about
difference?
me. You're talking about me reading your paper, and
You
you're
don't
commenting
know the
on.
terms you're
You were
using.
talk, You were talking about me reading your paper, and you're claiming that you've read my paper. I've wrote on this entire subject in detail.
I have your
So
paper
if
open
you
right
don't
next to me. I've read
if
it
you don't
multiple times.
understand if you don't understand what absolute class or classical identity means, then I have to explain it to you. But I thought you did
Absolute
know that.
identity. Absolute identity is a term made by Peter Geach. It does not refer to Leibniz's law. It
Oh
refers to the
man.
unqualified identity operator. The first time absolute identity as a term was introduced was by Geach to oppose absolute from relative identity. The unqualified
Okay,
identity
so
operator
you're
classically
breaking up.
used in Leibniz's law. Let,
You're
okay,
breaking up.
maybe it's my walls. Let me go outside. Maybe it's my walls. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm assuming you can hear me now because my connection gets way better when I go outside. So the point is that the unqualified identity operator, as it's standardly used in Leibniz's law, is what you're referring to. But even that doesn't tell us whether we're talking about altering the syntax or altering the semantic interpretation of identity in Leibniz's law, which wouldn't change the formula. What you're referring to is the well-formed formula, right? Which is X equals Y implies for all properties X, biconditional all properties Y. That's what you're referring to, the indiscernibles of identity.
Does anyone who believes that the Father is identical to God believe that he's identical to God and that it satisfies Leibniz's law?
That it satisfies. Are you saying, do they formalize it with identity such that identity includes the indiscernibles of identity? Then there are
Yes.
some people. Are you saying, are there people who try to formalize it that way?
I'm asking, are there
Yeah.
Trinitarians who believe that?
When you say believe, are you saying believe that it doesn't entail that the Father is the Son? Meaning, if they formalize it
Dude,
that way.
are you like Jordan Peterson or something? I feel like that this
Okay.
is not Johannes
You understand that
Silencio.
logic is
This
like
is
a very
Johannes.
nuanced
This is
subject
Johannes
matter, right?
Peterson. Dude,
Well,
I'm
that's because
asking
you're so
you.
used to using terms incorrectly
I'm
that when I'm
asking. No, no, it's not. It's just that you're used to talking and not listening. That's the difference.
you've
I
been
talk to
talking
people
over
all
me
the
the
time.
entire time.
No, I have not. I've been letting you speak the entire
You don't
time.
even know what the point. You didn't know what a model was until Nick brought it up to you. I don't know why you're trying to act like you have
Dude,
some knowledge in this.
dude. I not only do I have more knowledge than you, I've been teaching you and all your fanboys for the past 7
Okay, tell
years.
us, what is a model?
You're on the catch up, Silencio. So
Okay,
I'm going
what
to
is a
ask you
model?
the same. I'm going to ask you the same question I just asked you, which you didn't answer 3 or 4 times
What's a
now.
model?
Okay. Are there any Trinitarians who say and believe that when they say the Father is God, that that is understood as an identity statement which satisfies Leibniz's law? Yes or no?
There are Trinitarians who may believe that formalizing the statement with identity does not yield some falsum nor contradiction, if
That
that's what you're
wasn't the
asking.
question. That wasn't the question. Try again.
What was your
Try
question? That's
again,
the
soldier. I
you
know
don't
it's
even
hard for
know.
you to
No, you
keep
don't.
up. You can't
The
keep
the
up.
the funny thing is, you think you know what you're talking about. You don't.
No, the funny thing is, you think you know what you're talking about, but you're an idiot. You don't know anything
Okay.
about the topic.
Okay.
You're a complete ignoramus.
Okay. Tell us what a model is
So
first
I'm
before you
going
call
to
me an
answer
idiot.
you the question one more time. Are there Trinitarians who believe when they say that the Father is identical to God, that that's an identity statement that satisfies Leibniz's law? Yes or no?
I don't see any other way of interpreting that question unless you clarify, besides you asking me whether or not there are Trinitarians who believe you can formalize it with identity. Since you're talking about formal systems right now, you're talking about derivations, entailments, consequent, right? You're talking about deriving something from the set of statements. So that's how I'm interpreting you, because the domain of which you're speaking in is logic, right? So if that's
No,
what you're
it's
asking
not.
me,
No, it's not.
you're not. Wait,
I'm
you're not
asking
asking
you
me about
about
logic, but you're asking me
Trinitarians.
about Leibniz's law.
I'm asking you
Wait, clarify that.
I'm asking you what Trinitarians believe.
I know you're asking me what Trinitarians believe, but you said Leibniz's law. Is that
Yeah,
logic?
and
Is
why
that
can't you
logic?
answer a simple? Why
Is
can't
that
you
logic?
answer it simple? Why can't you answer a simple yes or no
Because you
question?
just said you're not asking me a question about logic, but you just
Oh
said
my
Leibniz's
God,
law.
bro. In connection to what people believe.
And the belief is indexed to the formalization. That's what you're
And I
asking. You're
asked
saying
you, when they assert that the Father is identical to God, are there Trinitarians who believe that statement is true and that the type of identity being asserted is satisfying Leibniz's law?
there's no sense of satisfying anything unless there's a model. Satisfaction in
Oh
logic is
my
talking about
Lord.
model. When you're talking about beliefs in relation to Leibniz's law, you're talking about whether or not the person believes a certain set of statements can be satisfied considering some model. Do you know what a model is?
Dude, I'm asking you a question and you're
Oh my God, you're
responding.
so
I'm
confused.
asking you a question and you're responding with a question. Is it
No, it's
because
not
you're
a, it's not,
unable
no,
to
no, no.
answer?
What I said is not a question, it's a correction. When you
No,
say
you're not answering my
satisfiability,
question.
look at, when you say satisfy, let me explain something to you. Be the student for once. It'll serve you
No,
right now.
why don't
When
you answer the
someone,
question?
when
Why
someone,
don't
look
you
at what,
answer the question?
when someone says something satisfiable, satisfiability is something we say about models when we're formalizing stuff, right? It's talking about the set of statements such that the statements come out true in a model. That's what satisfiability is. So when you say, does the person believe or the Christian believe that they interpret identity as such, you're asking about the person taking natural language statements into formal language. That has to do with satisfiability. Do I believe they're satisfiable under a certain model? Well, I believe that the Trinitarian may believe that it could be satisfiable and that it's adequate, meaning that it represents the statements and preserves their truth conditions. But that I don't believe that's true because you can derive a falsum, or if you derive, depending on your formalization, I'm assuming your
Okay,
formalization,
good. Now we're getting
similar.
somewhere.
Let
So
me let me
all
finish
this
because you didn't
mumbo
understand the whole
jumbo.
first part. You
Oh,
didn't understand the whole first
no,
part.
I did. I'm
You didn't
educating you
understand the first
slowly.
part. Let me
I'm
explain more.
educating you slowly,
Let me
sir. I'm educating you slowly. I know you have to step outside of your apartment to actually hear something. So listen.
I did. My
Take some
internet is
notes
bad in
while
my
you're getting
apartment.
this down and all your little
I apologize.
fanboys too. Okay. Listen, the point is, I asked you several times, and now you're getting to the fact that there are actually Trinitarians who do believe that the Father is identical to God, and they do interpret that as satisfying Leibniz's law. Now you're
You can't
saying,
satisfy
now
Leibniz's law.
you're saying that the person who does that runs into a problem and they run into
Okay,
contradictions.
you can't
No
let's start
shit,
somewhere.
that's the
You're
whole
incorrect.
point,
You can't
dummy.
satisfy Leibniz's law. You can't
You can't?
satisfy So what is satisfiability when formalizing something in model theoretic terms?
I can't believe this, man. You're saying that something cannot satisfy Leibniz's law.
What is satisfiability?
That's the point. You don't even know.
I just taught
What
you
are
what
you
it is,
on
but you
here
have a hard
talking
time
about,
listening.
bro? What are you on here talking about? You don't even know.
Okay, in case you weren't listening, I just explained it to you. It's when you interpret, you have a model such that the statements come out true in the model, right? Which statement is Leibniz's law?
What do you mean, which statement? It's not a
Which of the
statement.
Trinitarian statements?
Bro, we just went through this. You just
Okay, you don't
admitted that
understand
there
what
are
you're
some
saying. Let's move on
you
from
you
that.
you
You don't
just
understand what
you
you're
just
saying.
admitted that there are Trinitarians that believe that they are asserting that the Father is identical to God, and by identity, that is the classical absolute identity, which is an equivalence relation, which everything has to itself and nothing else, and which satisfies Leibniz's law. You just admitted that there are people who hold that position.
Okay, it's not a when you say hold that position, again, I'm gonna have to explain it to you again. You don't understand what's going on. When you say the person believes something, there's no in logic, it's formalizing something isn't a belief. There's just a model, or there's a formalization of something, meaning
There's an
you
interpretation.
have there's an interpretation function. Do you know what that is? It's not just an
Yeah, and we're
interpretation.
talking about the interpretation, genius.
No, okay.
That's what we're
There's
talking
a
about.
difference between there's a difference between, broadly speaking, interpretation and an interpretation function. Do you know what that is?
We are talking about the interpretation of the statement.
Yeah, okay. The interpretation of the statement in the model and the formalization, it's governed by an interpretation function. You take the
The
statements in
question,
and
the
it
question is,
indexes an interpretation to each of the objects in the domain. That's what a model
and
is.
you already admitted that there are Trinitarians who interpret the statement as an identity relation which is satisfying Leibniz's law. You
There are
already admitted that.
okay. Are there Muslims who have false beliefs?
Of course.
Okay, and what you're saying, and what I'm telling you is that formalizing a set of statements using identity leads to a falsum, which leads to a belief we don't believe, or derive something we don't believe in. So, is it an issue that a Christian may formalize something a certain way and it derives some contradiction?
Yeah, that means that his belief would be false.
Okay, just like there are some Muslims who have false beliefs, right? But we don't care,
Exactly.
right? But we don't care about the people who do have false beliefs, right? We care about the
Yes,
true
we do.
beliefs.
Yes, we do.
Okay, why do we
Yes,
care
we
about
do. That's why you are so slow, dude. You're not catching up. The whole discussion about the LPT is we are talking about what is possible and what is common in terms of the interpretation of these statements. That's the whole point.
possible considering what modality?
Bro, you're not listening here. You're saying
I'm
that
repeating
us
to you the
being
word you
you're
used.
saying no, you're confused. You're
No, I didn't
actually
say
retarded.
you're confused, Jake.
You're
Listen, I said
genuinely retarded.
I
Honestly,
I
genuinely.
didn't. Good job trying to get your live gone so that you don't have to continue the
Listen. Why don't
conversation.
you?
Good
Why
job.
don't you listen for a second? Okay.
I mean, you're trying
Listen.
to end this live.
You're not actually
You're saying
listening.
words to end it.
You're not actually listening to the point. You're saying that, oh, because it results in a contradiction or a false belief, therefore it's not relevant to the discussion of the LPT. No, of course it's relevant to the discussion of the LPT because some people do not see the entailment of that belief, that it leads to a contradiction, and that's the whole point of what is being shown in the outset. It's saying that if you believe this, that the Father is God, and you interpret it as such, then this is the entailment. I know they hate when I use the R word. I'm sorry. The entailment of that, okay, it's being restricted. The entailment of that is X, and we explain what that is.
Okay.
So that the person then
Let's
is going to
clarify
have
something.
good reason. The person is going to have good reason to actually doubt the belief that got them to that position. That's the whole point.
Okay, so the goal is to get them to doubt the original statements, right?
No.
Is that what you said?
It's for them to doubt their original interpretation of the statement and why it can't be true.
Oh, so the point is that you're only talking about people who formalize the Trinity a certain way. You're not trying to prove the Trinity is illogical, correct?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is, in that specific case, the one that we've been talking about this entire time, what is being demonstrated there or attempted to be demonstrated is that the person's belief is false because what they're believing in the first case entails another belief which they reject, which is that the Father is identical to the Son, which is contradictory, and therefore
let's get some clarification.
They have to hold on a second. They have to reinterpret the statement to begin with.
Okay, let's I'm going to stick on what you're saying. Let's clarify what you're saying, please. So are you saying that their belief is false? Are you saying a specific model is false? Or are you saying it's false that the Father is God?
No, it's false that the Father is identical to God in the sense that it satisfies Leibniz's law.
Okay, so you're only talking about a specific model. You're not making claim to whether... Let me finish, please. Let me finish. You can't keep interrupting me. You can't keep interrupting me and try to understand me. Look, you got to try to understand what I'm asking you here. Are you saying that, one, this proves the Trinity is illogical, or two, this just disproves a specific model, or three, that the informal statements themselves are false? Which one are you saying?
Why would I say that this alone proves that the Trinity is false or illogical if we're only speaking about one specific interpretation of Trinitarian statements? That makes no sense. The
Okay.
question is retarded, bro.
Okay, I know you're spamming the word trying to get this live down so you don't have to continue talking, but please stop
No,
doing
I
that.
would love to continue belting you, man. I like it. Trust me.
Okay, so you're saying that it doesn't. So you said one, it doesn't disprove the Trinity, and two, it doesn't prove the Trinity is illogical, correct?
In the specific nature in which we're discussing, we're not talking about the
You're not
Trinity
answering my question. Answer my question.
I am. You're just a slow boy.
Yes or no?
Listen, slow boy. Listen.
Yes or no?
Listen,
I haven't
slow
insulted
boy.
you. You don't have to spaz out. It's okay.
Listen, slow boy. Yes, you have insulted me numerous times.
No, I
saw
haven't.
what
They
you
were
were
just
saying.
descriptions.
I saw what you were saying on your previous live stream about me, dude. You think I don't know?
That's not an insult. Those aren't insults.
Yeah, it was an insult. It was. You were insulting me several times. You're calling me a grifter. You're talking about.
That's not
how
an
much
insult.
money-
That's a fact.
No, it's not. What's a fact is you have long hair, and Paul said that you're a female. Why do you have long hair when Paul told
Okay,
you not
nice
to?
job switching the subject. All right, let's go
Why
back to
do you
subject.
have long hair and Paul told you not to?
Why do you speak on things you don't know about, like models?
Answer the
Anyways, let's
question.
go back.
Why,
Let's go back.
Why do you have long hair when Paul said having long hair is a female trait?
Can we go back to the original topic?
Can you answer the question?
I want to go back to the original topic.
Why do you have long hair when Paul said that having long hair is a female trait? It's from the female nature. Why do you have that?
Look, do you want to continue the topic or no?
You can't answer the question?
Oh, you're genuinely an embarrassment.
Yet,
you're an embarrassment.
You haven't been able to answer a single question yet.
Jake, I'm broke. Lower the price from $500 minimum to $50. That's all I have right now, please.
Dude, I'll give it to you for free if you sit there like a good choir boy. But here's the question: I want to know.
My request, though, is that you get rid of the $500 minimum.
No, it's not a $500 minimum. Since you claim to follow Paul, why don't you follow his teaching? And why do you have long hair?
Can we get back to the topic?
Answer the question. Why do you have long hair, bro?
Oh my God. How convenient. You want to run away from the topic.
You won't answer. It's a simple question.
Do you want to continue the topic or no?
Why do you have long hair when Paul says that's for females, bro? We all want to know.
I'm broke. What is it? Okay, can we get back to the topic? This is not interesting.
Yeah, once you answer that question, it's a genuine question.
It's not a genuine question. You're just a grifter who's mad because I'm calling out you're grifting.
It's a genuine question.
Wait, here's a genuine question. Why does the only options?
I'm trying to see if you really believe.
Why is the only options in your course $500, $1,000, $1,500? Why are those the only options?
They're not. Those aren't the only options.
Put my screen big so I can screen share.
Dude, those are not the only options. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, I don't? Put my screen big. Put my screen big.
You don't. Do you know that we lowered the total for the course?
Put my screen big.
You know that we lowered the total for the course?
Put my screen big. Oh, how much did it go down to? 300 now?
Total for the course? So just like when you're supposed to be talking about me and the LPT and what I say, and you grift to talking about grifting, that's what I'm going to do here on this live when you're sitting there with your long hair when Paul said you're like a female. So why don't you answer the question?
Why don't instead of grifting your base, why don't you actually provide something meaningful?
Why do you have long hair if Paul said having long hair
How do I
is for
share my
females?
screen? How do I do that?
Answer the question, son.
You're not being serious right now.
I am dead serious. Just
No, you're
like
not.
you're trying to be dead serious about grifting.
I mean,
dude,
that's serious.
Look, don't be jealous just because you're in an apartment by yourself and you can't actually afford good Wi-Fi and I'm out here getting money. Don't be jealous of that. What you need to do
I would be jealous about you grifting.
What you need to do is, if you want to build up your name, build it. But don't try to do it off me because it's not going to work. Because you're just going to get up here and you're going to get blasted. It's
okay,
simple.
guys, read that. What's the minimum he offers there, guys?
Answer the question, sir.
What's the minimum? What's the minimum of his Dawa Accelerator course?
Answer the question. Why
Dawa Accelerator course.
Long hair? Why do you have long hair if Paul says not to?
Hey, can you enlarge?
You can't
look at $500 minimum. Hey guys, look at this.
Why can't you answer the question, bro?
Why can't you look at the screen? Why don't you enlarge it? The minimum's $500.
You can't answer it, huh? Are you ashamed?
And instead of
Are you
offering the people,
ashamed? Are you
instead of,
ashamed? Are
you should
you
be ashamed of
ashamed?
yourself for
Are you
grifting
ashamed,
Muslims.
bro? Are you ashamed that you can't, that you have long hair and Paul says you're like a female? Are you
$500
ashamed of that?
minimum.
Are you ashamed of that, sir?
As you just said, I'm in an
Are you
apartment. You need to
ashamed of
lower
that?
it.
Paul
You need
says
to
you're like
lower
a
it.
female, bro. Paul says you're like a female. That's pretty bad, bro. Says
500.
judge for yourself. Judge for yourselves.
Hey,
Is
how
it
many
proper for a woman?
Moroccan? How
Is
much
it
does that?
proper? Is
How
it
much does
proper
that
for a woman?
currency in Moroccan
Is it proper
pesos?
for a woman? Is it proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered? Does not the very nature of things teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a disgrace to him? So that's a question for you, Johannes. Does not the very nature of things teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a disgrace to him?
All right, this is getting like not
Wow,
interesting.
bro. Wow. So Paul says you're a disgrace. Paul says you're a disgrace.
Jake, why instead of offering your course
Okay.
for free,
So
why do
now,
you set up GoFundMe's so that other Muslims can pitch in money because you don't want to give your course out for minimums, for lower minimums?
Listen, son.
Set up your
Listen, son.
GoFundMe's. Keep setting up your GoFundMe's.
Listen, son. We're going to go back to the point now. We're going to go back to the point. Since you got embarrassed about your long hair, we'll let you get back to the LPT. We'll let you get back to the LPT. So now, the question for you, Mr. Silencio, is, are we concerned, is all the LPT concerned with mere formal consistency? Is that all we're concerned with?
Well, as you read in your paper, you reference rich. I don't know. Let's read it together. Let me pull up the paper.
No, I asked you a question, bro. I
want to go off of what you said.
It's a yes or no. You answer yes or no, and then you expand.
Let me pull this up.
The question is yes or no, and then you expand. Do you know how to answer a question? Is the LPT...
Stop talking for a second.
Is the LPT...
Stop talking for a second.
Is the LPT...
Wait, stop talking for a second. Stop talking for a
second. Is the LPT only concerned with formal consistency or not?
This is the only way you can engage because you're just embarrassing.
It's a simple yes or no question. See, now
you gotta stop talking so I can answer the question.
You had an excuse when I was making fun of your long hair, but now I'm asking you a direct
so
question.
I can answer.
I'm asking you a direct question about the LPT.
It's okay.
Is the LPT
it's okay.
only concerned with?
I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna answer.
Yes
Stop
or no?
talking. Stop talking.
Say yes
Stop
or no.
talking so I can answer
Say yes
it.
or no.
Pause so I can answer it. Okay.
Say yes or no.
Okay, stop. Let me stop talking so I can answer.
You're not going to answer how you want. You're going to answer yes or no. You're going to answer yes or no and then expand.
Stop talking so I can answer it.
You're going to answer yes or no and then expand.
Stop
That's
talking so I can answer it.
Yes or no and then expand.
Stop talking so I can answer it. I'm going to say this. It's number one, it's a loaded question, which is why I want to elaborate on it.
That question is yes or no.
If it's loaded, why would I answer yes or no?
So you can't answer yes or no.
How did you derive that?
You just admitted on your own live that of course the LPT isn't only limited to formal consistency.
It's not.
It's not. Exactly.
It's not.
So
stop
Jake,
talking
hold
for
on.
a second.
Stop talking
for a second. You're
I'm going to ask you one question. I'm going to ask you one question.
In your paper, you say the LPT forms an inconsistent set. Inconsistent sets are model theoretic. Inconsistent sets are model theoretic.
I'm going to make your day.
Inconsistent sets are model theoretic. You write this. The claim is that these 7 propositions are necessary for Trinitarians to affirm and form
I'm going to make your
an
day.
inconsistent set.
Watch. The whole discussion
You
is
write
going to end right here.
that the LPT you're talking about is forming an inconsistent set. Inconsistent sets are model theoretic. You're referring to a formal issue in your paper.
Okay.
That's why we're referring
You're
to
breaking
the LPT,
up, Juju. You got to
and
go
you
back
told
outside.
Nick.
You're breaking up. You got to go back outside, dude.
Look, listen. Stop speaking so you can hear me. Stop speaking so you can hear me.
You got to go back outside. We can't hear you.
It'll be much easier to hear me if you stop speaking over me.
You keep talking. I'm asking you. I'm trying to ask you.
It'll be easier to hear me if you stop talking over me.
I'm trying to ask you one question.
Just stop speaking over me. Jake, you've been speaking this entire time. Let me get something out.
You've been speaking for the past 5 minutes.
No, I haven't. Let me get something out. No, I haven't. Let me get something out and then you can go. Just give me a minute and then you can go and then we got a minute like rational people.
Okay,
Let's
we'll
do
give
that.
you.
Okay?
Here, listen,
Please.
we're gonna give you 1 minute uninterrupted, and then I'm gonna ask you a simple question, and you're gonna answer, right?
Yes, I'll answer
Okay,
after
good.
that.
Go ahead. 1 minute uninterrupted. Go ahead. Let me get my timer out
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I want to respect the time. I'm not going to go over it.
Go ahead, bro. We're gonna give you extra
All right,
time.
okay. The reason to say that something can be only used in one sense is ridiculous. Words have multiple meanings, phrases have multiple meanings. What's relevant is what the literature is predominantly speaking about when we reference the LPT. When you reference the LPT in your paper, you credit its original analytic formalization to Richard Cartwright, who's speaking of a formal issue. You then say, this is what you are speaking about, because then you start talking about the is of predication, is of identity, and you start talking about forming inconsistent sets, which is a formal issue. You then continue on to speak about the formal issue, and then you then later import metaphysics. But you, one, accredited the original problem to Richard Cartwright, so it's not irrational for us to deal with it in purely formal terms before talking about other issues regarding LPT, which broadly speaks about incarnation and other issues. You in your debate against Nick said this has nothing to do with the LPT. You said that. You're wrong. When I talk about this, I'm talking about something that's predominantly in the literature. Go ahead.
Time's up. Over Blau. Time's up. Over Blau. Listen, I'm gonna reset 1 minute so people can see it on my end, but it's not even gonna take 1 minute. It's just a simple question.
Do you want me to elaborate on it or no?
No, bro. You had your time. You get 1 minute uninterrupted.
Yeah,
Okay?
but that wasn't about answering your question specifically. It's about the loadedness of the question.
Okay. So if I ask you a different question, you'll get another minute. That's how it goes.
I know, but what I'm saying is that I'll answer yes and I'll elaborate on it.
Okay. I don't care how you answer it because now we're doing timed. You got 1 minute. So
Okay.
I'm going to start my 1 minute. Now, everybody can see it starting here. Now, Mr. Silencio, did you just say that my paper initially started out talking about a formal matter and then went into metaphysics? Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So was my paper, which was on the LPT, was it limited to formal consistency or did it also talk about metaphysics?
It's also talked about metaphysics.
Okay, good. Now, here's the second question because I still got time left. I still got 30
Go ahead.
seconds.
You can take all the time you want. Give yourself another
Good.
minute.
No, I only need one more question and then the whole thing is done, dude. The whole question is done.
Go ahead.
Have I ever said that the Trinity cannot be formulated in such a manner to be formally consistent?
Have I ever said, yeah, when you claim the Trinity is illogical in your paper?
Okay, so when I claim that the Trinity is illogical, I mean in the sense that it. Hold on a second. I want to be clear about what you're saying. The question is for you. When you think when I say that the Trinity is illogical, I mean that it cannot be put into a formally consistent set.
I think you don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing coherent coming out of you.
Okay, so the answer is no. I don't believe that.
I don't know if I would say no. I would say that you're confused about what you're saying and that the way that these terms are normally used after you talk about inconsistent set and you use the terms like illogical, you're in the domain of logic, and illogical means there is not one model that can satisfy the set of statements. Now, you may be confused and you're talking about other stuff while you're talking about that, but that doesn't mean that you're making the division in the sense where you're talking about distinct subjects. That just means you're confusing the domains.
Are you done? Because you still got time left.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good. So I'm going to restart it now. You said that I'm confused because in the beginning of the paper, I'm talking about purely logical consistency and formal consistency. But you admit that in the rest of the paper, I go through speaking about the metaphysics. Why do I speak about the metaphysics in that paper?
As I just said, it's because you're confused on the difference between illogicality in its formal sense and illogicality in a broader sense. It's because you're confused.
So it's confused. It can't be the case that when Jake says illogical in one context, he has one meaning, and then when he means it in another context, he means something else, and he's not confusing those. He's just using the same word in two different senses in two different domains. That's not possible, sir?
I just answered that. I said it's not the case that you're talking about distinct domains representing distinct issues. It's the case that you're mixing the term illogical.
So what do you think I mean when I say illogical?
I think you're confused. I already answered that question.
When I say hold on. When I say that the Trinity
after you finish. Go ahead.
When I say that the Trinity is illogical, okay, what do you think I mean by that?
I think you are confused. I already answered this because to understand the difference between illogical in the metaphysical sense or in a broader sense of incoherence and in the formal sense, you have to understand what a model is. But you didn't know what a model is in Nick's debate. So of course you don't understand the difference.
You didn't answer the question.
I did.
No.
My answer was that you're confused. There's no coherent meaning in mind, and we have reason. We have good reason to believe that you're just confused about how you're using these terms.
Okay, so I'm just confused about it. Okay, have I ever publicly stated that the Trinity could be formally consistent in a set if it's interpreted a certain way?
You actually said in the Nick debate that it could be made consistent, but what you clarified upon that is you said it could be consistent. You also made a Twitter post where you said there's equivocation models, there's issues with relative identity. So it's not that there's a model in the sense that we're talking about the domain of logic, inference, axioms that you accept, which is what I'm talking about. Right? We're not talking about non-classical logic. We're not talking about relative identity that you don't accept. We're talking about when me and you have the same logical assumptions, right? Same axioms, same well-formed formulas we accept in our logical language. We're saying, is there at least one model that can represent the set of statements? When you say consistent, as you tweeted on X, you said, yes, there's models, but they have issues. You're saying that the logical language, you're saying you don't accept this in your logical language, relative identity, or you're saying it equivocates, which means there's an issue with the model. You're not saying there is a model that can be made consistent.
No, not at all. Do you know what I mean when I say equivocates?
I have your tweet. I could put it on my screen.
Just answer the question because you need to bring it up because you don't understand. You're being educated. Answer the question. When I say equivocate, what do I mean?
I answered your question.
No, because you're going to read my tweet now, bro.
No, I'm not going to read your tweet. I'm not going to read your tweet.
Can't hear you. So when I say that equivocation, that there are equivocation models which are
I'm not going to read your tweet. I said
when I say that there are equivocation models which are formally consistent, what do I mean by that?
As you said in the Nick debate, it was the same thing. You said the Trinity can be made logically consistent in the same way, in the same consistency that J.C. Bell's contradictory Christ is consistent. No, that's what you said. You said that word for word.
I mentioned J.C. Beale, but he's just one example. He's not the only example.
Yeah, but that's not under Nick's view. Let me explain something to you, please.
Silencio.
Let's do. Okay, take your minute. Do the minute.
Okay. Silencio. Do you know what silencio means?
I speak Spanish. Silencio means silence. Yeah.
Okay, exactly. Cállate la boca. That's what it means. Now, the point is, Mr. Silencio.
Did you put the minute?
Yeah, I have it on, but I'm not even going to take the full minute. Okay. So, the point is, Mr. Silencio, when I make the comment about J.C. Beale, that's one example that I said off the cuff as a remark in the debate with Nick. In my Twitter post, I did not limit it to J.C. Beale. I gave several different examples that are formally consistent. Now, I'm asking you the question. When I gave those...
Well, let me respond to that first, and then I'll answer your question.
You're cutting me off. My minute's not up yet. I still got 28 seconds. Still have 28 seconds. I'm landing the plane. I'm asking you the question. When I say that in the Twitter post that there are several different examples of Trinitarian models that are formally consistent, what do I mean by that in the Twitter post?
Okay. Now, I'm going to answer your question. I want to respond to what you said about JC Bell because it adds context to your question. So, JC Bell, it's not an example because it wouldn't be rendered consistent under Nick's framework because Nick is a classical logician. JC Bell's definition of consistency doesn't exclude contradiction. Normally, in classical logic, contradiction is taken to be the same thing as saying there's some falsum, right? But under Nick's interpretation, or under Nick's logic, classical logic, it's not this consistent in the same way J.C. Bell's is. In the same way, when you refer to your X post and you say relative identity can be made consistent, you're saying under a logic which accepts relative identity as a part of its language, namely the sortal indexed identity operator, can then be made formally consistent. So the can there isn't the scope of logical possibility indexed to Nick or yours or my logical systems. So we're not talking about any of our logical systems. All you're saying there is that there is a logical system out there that can accommodate that. But then that's when you say it's ad hoc.
Time's up. Time's up, Silencio. Listen, so now we're getting slowly closer and closer to when you're going to admit the truth. And I'm so happy about this. We're just slowly getting there. So Jake is saying, we have an admission that Jake is publicly saying that the Trinity can be formally consistent, whether on J.C. Beale's logical framework, which is non-classical, on a relative identity framework, which you're saying is not classical. Now, we're getting that admission. But now I want you to come over just a little bit closer. Does Jake, in his Twitter post, have any models of the Trinity that I admit that are formally consistent and that use or are limited to classical logic and not non-classical logics? Yes or no?
That's the concession of the whole debate.
You didn't answer the question, sir.
Yes, you concede that the Trinity
Yes or
is
no?
logical. You concede
Okay,
that the
wait.
Trinity is logical, yes. But
Do
you
want your
also...
minute, Silencio?
Huh?
Do you want your minute?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
So you concede that the Trinity is logical, which means that under classical logic, a logic that you accept, the Trinity is logical, formally speaking, meaning there's no logical issue with the Trinity. Now, what you equivocate upon that, logical, you equivocate it in its broad sense, meaning that there is a set of logical systems which can accommodate for that. And then you bring in the ad hoc objection whenever someone rejects your interpretation, your, I don't know if it's a model, a formalization that derives from falsum.
You done?
Yep.
Okay, good. So, Jake, let's be very clear. Jake is not only admitting that J.C. Beale's sense of consistency, or whatever you want to say, or relative identity, those models are not formally contradictory and are consistent. Jake is also saying that you can have a model of the Trinity that is formally consistent and adheres to classical logic, correct?
And it's adequate, yeah.
You're adding something. Hold on, Silencio.
Meaning it preserves.
You're
I'm answering your question. Let me answer your question.
You're adding something else, Silencio.
Let me answer your.
Adequate.
Let me answer your question, please. Let me answer your question. In the same way that a contradiction assumes that the meaning is preserved, if you're saying it can be made formally consistent in a model, I take that to be to be talking about the Trinitarian statements, which means the truth conditions are preserved in the model.
What determines the truth conditions?
Why is that relevant? What determines the truth conditions?
You'll see why if you answer the question.
It's not relevant.
It is. What determines the truth? What determines
it's irrelevant. The point is that
what determines the truth conditions, sir?
Let me answer.
No, if you answer it, hold on.
Let me answer.
Silencio.
Stop talking. Stop talking. Let me answer.
If you answer the question,
let me answer the question.
Let me ask you the question. If
you already asked it, let me answer.
Listen, bro, I'm letting you speak up here. Okay, I'm giving you 1 minute uninterrupted to speak.
Then do that again.
Yeah, I will. Let me just finish the point. If you answer the question and then show me why it's not relevant, then you'll be victorious. So go ahead.
Okay. In the same way that when we say a contradiction, it has to preserve the same meaning. It has to preserve what we're talking about, right? It has to have the truth conditions, and then there has to be a negation behind what we're talking about. So it has to preserve the statements. Now, if someone asks, well, why does it have to preserve the statements? Or what makes it such that the meaning is the same? That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant to the question of the contradiction does have to preserve the meaning in its negation, because it has to be negating the same thing, the same meaning. In the same way, you don't have to answer that. You can have a theory of meaning, a theory of truth, an epistemic framework that helps you derive the truth, and you can define all of those things. You can have a whole system, but just like this is irrelevant, it parallels your tendency to go into irrelevant stuff. Like when Nick was trying to propose a model to you, you could have said, actually, this is a model. The Trinity is logical, but you didn't say that. You said that it's consistent in the same way J.C. Bell's is, which is false. Go ahead.
So you talk for a full minute and you didn't answer the question. Well,
it's because the question's irrelevant.
No,
I'm not answering irrelevant questions.
Exactly. You don't
understand. It's irrelevant. I'm glad you
don't understand. You don't understand why it's relevant, because it matters what actually are the truth preserving conditions, who determines that. And the reason why you cannot...
You didn't even know what a model was until
an hour ago. See, this is what happens. Every time I start talking, you interrupt me.
You just went on like an ape fest talking about my hair, and now you want to act like a civilized person who wants to have a conversation? You need to calm down.
Dude, you're the one who got disrespectful on your little stream first. First of all,
I'm not disrespectful. I'm pointing out the truth.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are disrespectful. You were disrespectful to Venus, and you booted him off.
I'm not disrespectful to Venus. Venus lied. We have it on recording, and it's posted.
You were disrespectful to Venus. You called him a liar.
That's not disrespect. That's the truth. He lied.
You removed him from a stream, and then you went on a tirade about how Jake is a grifter. But yet you're the one who's got long hair, and Paul says you're like a female. So let me finish my point, sir. Let's get back to the actual debate and stop cutting me off. The minute is starting now. Now, I'm asking you, because earlier you just said it's irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant that Jake is asking this irrelevant question. No, I'm not asking a relevant question, because that's going to deal with whether or not the model, which you keep mentioning, the model is...
You don't know what that is.
Bro, you can't control yourself, bro.
If you're gonna go on rants, you might as well be on topic.
Okay, so Silencio, when you talk for a minute and I don't think you're addressing my question, and I sit there quiet on my own live, you're not going to do the same thing. So what do you want to do?
First of all, after you just aped out talking about my hair, you want to talk like a normal human being. That's funny.
No, but if we're talking about you interrupting.
If you're going off topic drastically, then I'm going to interrupt you.
Okay. So then I can interrupt you when you do that, right?
Yes, of course. If it's actually off topic and you can address that.
And I'm going to determine when it's off topic or not.
Okay, let's act like civilized people now, since you decided that. So, look, you've been interrogating me this entire time. I haven't been asking you any questions. After you ask this question, after you ask this question, I'm going to ask you a question that's very relevant to this subject.
No, what's going to happen here is you're going to see very clearly.
No, I'm going to sit on my live and interrogate you. You came into my live.
Interrogating, bro. You're missing the point.
You came into my live.
I'm trying to show you.
You can't look at Jake. Give me my minute really quick.
I'm trying to show you something.
Give me my minute really quick. Okay.
I'm trying to show you something.
Jake, you came into my live and you refused to come up. You refused to come up. You sat in my live for 15 minutes.
Silencio,
you sat in my live for 15 minutes and you refused to come up.
Silencio, you interrupted my minute.
You sat in my live for 15 minutes and refused to come up.
No, it was much longer than that. So,
thank you for admitting that.
The reason why is because somebody already went on your stage and you threw him off and treated him like garbage.
I caught him lying.
You said you caught him lying, but you didn't.
We have a recording of it.
We don't care, bro. We don't
care about whether he was actually lying or not.
We don't care about your recording.
We don't care about whether you have a recording of him actually lying.
Look, can we get to the actual LPT? Can we
In
deal
your
with the actual
paper,
LPT?
in your
No,
paper, in your paper.
Silencio, you're
Look it.
making this
Stop.
much
You're such
longer
a
than it needs
coward.
to
Like
be.
you only
You're
want this
make you're
interrogation
making it
session.
you're
I have
making
to
it
be able to
much
ask you
longer than it
questions.
needs to be. So give
Look
me
it.
my minute because you interrupted me during
Look it.
my
I'm trying to
minute.
get us to agree.
I'm going
I'm
to
not
make it
disregarding
very
your minute.
clear.
Can you
I'm going to
stop
make it very
talking?
clear.
Stop talking. Look it.
No, it's
Stop
my
talking.
minute, dumbass.
Yo, you're
It's
almost
my
50
minute.
years old. Stop acting like a
It's
child.
I'm
Look
not
it.
50. I'm not 50 years
You're
old.
almost 50. You're almost 50. You're
I'm not even
pushing
close
50.
to 50.
You're
How
pushing
old
it.
are you? How
You're
old are you?
pushing it.
How old are you?
You're pushing it. I'm in my
How
early
old are you?
20s. Early 20s.
Tell me how
You're
old are you?
I'm in my early 20s. You're
How
pushing
old are
50.
you? You won't
You're
even say
pushing
your
50.
age. You're not man
You're
enough.
pushing 50.
I'm not
You're
even
pushing
close to
50.
50. I'm not
I
close to
mean,
50, but I
I guess
might be
that is
old enough to be
relative,
your
right?
dad. I don't
Depends
know.
where you're counting from.
How old are you,
What's
Mr.
your counting
Silencio?
method?
You listen, you just asked. Well, I would have to ask you because you don't know how to count to three gods. So listen, Silencio.
Okay, I'm not. Look it.
What is
This
your
has been an
age?
hour
What
and a
is your
half of
age?
a just like
You
interrogation.
just brought me up at my
This has
age.
been an hour and a half
So
of like an
tell me what your
interrogation.
age
Bro, can
is.
you act
What's
like a
your age?
civilized human being? Let's act like
What's your
civil people.
age? What's your age?
Okay, let's talk. Let's act like civil human beings. Look,
Okay, so you brought my age up.
bro,
So
can
tell
you
me
stop
what your
talking?
age is.
Put your lips together. Stop talking for a second.
What is your
Look,
age,
instead,
Silencio?
oh my god, that's kind of weird. You're almost 50 and you're asking for my age. I'm in my
I'm not
early
even
20s.
close to 50, dude.
Yes, you are. Anyways,
I'm not
look,
even close. What age am I?
almost 50.
What's
Look
the
at,
age?
anyways,
Go ahead. What's the age?
anyways,
What's the age?
bro, you're a weirdo.
Was
You're
Jesus
almost,
almost 50 when he died? Was Jesus almost 50 when he died, according to you?
what's the counting method for that?
You
No, I'm
tell
just
me,
joking.
dude. You're the one who can't count.
I'm
to
just
three.
joking. Anyways, can we
Was
look at? Can we
Jesus
not
almost
have?
50 when he died?
Bro, can you stop talking seriously? Just stop talking for a
Was
second.
Jesus almost 50 when he died?
You stop talking for a second.
Answer the question,
Stop talking
long-haired
for a
boy.
second. Stop talking
Answer
for a
the
second.
question, long-haired boy.
Okay, grifter.
What was he? Listen, Silencio.
$500 minimum, by the way.
Silencio. Cállate la boca.
I won't be able to get a haircut if I buy
Be
your
quiet,
$500
bro.
minimum
Be
course.
quiet, bro. Bro, you don't need to get a haircut. You need to keep that long hair and leave.
Oh my god.
That's what you
Anyways,
need.
let's talk like civilized people for once.
Okay, so you're not going to
Anyways,
cut me off.
look
Then.
at
It's
instead
my
of having
minute.
the
It's
interrogation
my
session,
minute. It's my minute. It's my
instead of
minute.
you just constantly asking questions,
I'm
I
not.
would like
I'm
to
making
ask.
statements during my
Stop
minute.
talking for a
I'm
second.
making statements. It's my
Instead
turn,
of you just
bro.
constantly asking me
It's my
questions,
turn. It's my
stop talking
turn.
for.
It's my
Bro, look
turn.
it. Stop talking for a second.
It's my turn,
Stop talking.
bro. It's my
Instead
turn,
of
little bro.
stop talking. Look it.
It's
Instead
my
of you
turn.
constant. Wow, you're so embarrassing. Instead of
No, you're
talking,
embarrassing.
instead of talking constantly and asking me questions, I want to have the opportunity to at least ask you one or two questions because I didn't agree to just an interrogation session. I've been answering all your questions for an
Really
hour
good.
and a half now, and we haven't gotten
No,
to a
it is not.
single. We haven't gotten to a single point where I can ask you a question about
We
the
have.
matter.
We've gotten to the fundamental point, and that's why you don't want me to go further. Because once I get to this final step, everyone's going to see how much of a fraud you
You
really
don't
are.
know what a model is. We can never
Listen,
get to the
dude,
final
It's
step.
my minute. You're going to be
You
quiet.
didn't even know what the
You're
identity
going to be
operator
quiet
was.
now. You're going to be quiet. It's my minute, and then you get to talk for a minute. That's how it
Okay,
goes.
listen to what I'm
That's how it
telling you.
goes.
I'm not look
No,
at listen to
I
what I'm
got
telling
1
you.
minute. I
Listen to
got
what
1 minute.
Can you not act like a child? Genuinely.
No, it's my
Look at-
turn. It's my turn to talk.
It's your turn of an hour and 30 minutes of just straight
I
asking
was
me
talking
questions.
the last time and you interrupted me.
Are you listening to what I'm saying? We're on a train of thought where you've been asking me questions about my position. And what I'm telling you is that I don't want to continue an interrogation. I'm okay. I'm okay. Look at let me answer. I'm okay with answering your question right now. My point is that after this, I don't want to continue. I want to be able to ask my own questions instead of getting interrogated. I don't think that's irrational or crazy of me to ask of you.
Okay, now it's my minute to talk. I'm going to make a statement here. I'm not.
Do you agree to that? Do you agree to that?
I'm not even going to ask a question. I'm going to make statements. Now be quiet.
Do you agree to that?
Bro, you just talked. Now it's my turn to talk.
I
Be
know, but I
quiet.
don't want you to use your
Be
minute to
quiet.
continue the same line of thought. I want you to
I
address
know
my
you
question.
don't. I know you don't because it's embarrassing you. Just
No,
shut
it's
up.
because we've been talking for 2
Silencio.
hours almost.
Silencio.
We've been talking
Silencio.
for almost 2 hours,
Escucha.
and it's been you
Escucha.
interrogating me. I want to
Escucha.
be able to ask some
Escucha.
questions.
Silencio.
Wow. You're almost
Here
50,
we
by the
go.
way.
Here. No, I'm not almost 50, bro. So,
Almost 50, and you're selling $500
bro,
courses minimums.
you keep talking about my age. You're an anonymous dude with the last name Silencio online, calls himself Juju, and won't even state his age. And you got long hair, and you're like a female compared to what Paul says. Paul thinks
Okay,
you're a female.
I'd
So
rather
be
have long
quiet.
hair than be a grifter who doesn't
Stop,
know what a model
stop,
is and
stop
doesn't know what
talking,
identity
bro.
is.
Stop talking. You keep talking because you don't want me to talk because you know where
No, it's
this is
because you
going.
want to say what you have
No,
to say and you don't want me to
because you know
respond,
where
just like
this
you
is
wanted to say
going. You know
derogatory
where
stuff
this
right
is
now.
going. You know where this is going. Be
Well,
quiet.
it's going to your $500
I'm gonna give
minimum
you
Dawa
one last
accelerator
chance.
course.
I'm gonna give you one last chance to be quiet and allow me to speak for 1 minute, or else I'm removing
Look,
you from
I'm
the
going to give
stream.
you one last chance to respond to my question, and if you don't, that's a concession.
Okay, so you got 1 minute. I got 1 minute to talk. If you don't allow
Answer
me
my
to talk,
question, yeah.
if you
Go
don't
ahead.
allow me to talk for the 1 minute, then you're getting removed from the stream. If you interrupt me during the 1 minute, you're getting
I'm going to
removed from
interrupt you if you're not answering my question.
Okay, if you interrupt me, you're getting removed from the stream.
I'm sure you would love to do that.
So Mr. Silencio, who cannot silence himself, maybe that's why his parents named him that. I don't know, so that they can remind him that he should be quiet when he's in the student teacher session. Now, the point is regarding the LPT, this idiot doesn't know that Jake Brancatella, in his own paper, in his Twitter post, and my own track record for what I've been saying for 7+ years publicly, is that of course you can have the Trinity be formally consistent. I've always said that. That's not the point. The point is that the initial LPT is being set up as a problem of forming an inconsistent set. And then, based upon how you respond to that, it inevitably winds up in metaphysical problems, or more broadly speaking, logical problems in the informal sense of having metaphysical issues. That's always been my claim. So when Silencio, Nick, and company think that they're establishing something new, they're not establishing anything new. They're just coping. They think that they are. Now go ahead and respond to that, genius.
All right. I mean, I don't even know how to respond to that. But in your paper, I guess it's better to just directly reference your paper. In your paper, you immediately go from the same method of interpretation. Here, you're talking about interpretation function because you're talking about inconsistent set. And then you talk about formalizing using predication versus is of identity. You then automatically switch into metaphysics without further qualification. And this goes forth to provide evidence against what I'm saying against you, which is that you constantly equivocate between the two because you don't know what a model is. In your paper, you don't define the distinction between the LPT as a formal issue and as a metaphysical issue. You just suddenly switch into using the notion of illogical in the metaphysical sense and then equivocate it with a set theoretic sense. Go ahead.
Show me where I say that the Trinity is illogical in a metaphysical sense in the paper.
Did you listen to what I said?
Go ahead. Waiting.
No, did you listen to what I said?
Yeah, you just said that I call it illogical in a metaphysical sense. Go ahead.
Okay. The claim is that these 7 propositions are necessary for Trinitarians to form an inconsistent set. Inconsistent set in logic, if you didn't know, right? That's what it means for something to be illogical. In the next line, without further qualification, all the way down, you say, on this interpretation, the first 3 propositions result in the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, each individually and equally being divine or God. Propositions 4 to 6 merely reject modalism, affirming the distinction of each divine person in the Trinity. The final proposition is a claim of monotheism.
And then you mentioned Bo Branson, as you always do. As Bo Branson notes, the result of the first 6 propositions is that there are 3 gods because of how we count today. Today we count F's. That's metaphysical notion. You're talking about a counting method. And then you're saying it's illogical because of the way we count in the metaphysical sense, namely by F's. If there's 3 G's and each G is a P, then there's 3 P's. Or if there's 3 P's and each P is a G, then there's 3 G's. You're welcome.
Your time is up. So you keep saying that I'm mentioning Bo Branson. Bo Branson did his PhD thesis on the logical problem of the Trinity. It's literally called The Logical Problem of the Trinity. Then he has, I want to just pull it up here because I don't want to misquote the name of the article. Okay, so he has a paper, which I think it's listed here in 2019, called No New Solutions to the Logical Problem of the Trinity. Have you read that?
Can you respond to what I just said?
I just asked you a question.
You went on to Bo Branson. You asked me where you equivocated.
You brought up Branson.
You asked me. I mentioned Bo Branson to mention the section in which you equivocate. You're moving from where you equivocating to trying to run to Bo Branson like you always do. Engage with what I said.
Branson's paper is called No New Solutions to the Logical Problem of the Trinity. Have you read the paper, sir?
You
can just say no.
I mentioned Bo Branson's because you asked me where in your paper. Give me my chance to respond. I mentioned Bo.
Have you read it or not?
I mentioned Bo Branson because in your paper you asked me to point out where you equivocate. Now deal with it. Do you equivocate or not? Stop trying to run to one of Bo Branson's papers.
Have you read the paper, sir?
Are you going to engage? I'm not answering irrelevant questions. I answered.
Are you scared to admit you haven't read the paper? What's the big deal?
I answered. This line of questioning started like this. You asked me where in your paper do you say that it's metaphysically illogical. I pointed it out by showing you the section where you mentioned Bo Branson, not to reference specifically anything about Bo Branson, so that you could go in your own paper and see where you equivocate, as you asked me to do. After I provided that to you, you then now want to move into one of Bo Branson's papers that has nothing to do with what you initially asked me. Do you see that line of thought there?
It does, actually. So have you read the paper?
No. Do you see that line of thought? It's irrelevant.
Have you read the paper, sir?
Do you see how it's irrelevant?
Have you read the paper, sir?
Do you see how it's irrelevant?
Okay, I'm just going to accept that you haven't read the paper. Now you're going to be quiet and give me my minute.
Do you see how it's irrelevant?
You're going to be quiet and give me my minute because you still haven't
answered. Did you equivocate, yes or no?
You still haven't answered the question.
I answered. You asked me where in your paper did you say metaphysically it's illogical. I provided it to you. Now you want to talk about Bo Branson?
Listen, dude. I asked you a question about in the paper. You made a claim about in the paper that I used the word illogical in the metaphysical sense, and I asked you to give me the reference for that, please.
And I showed you where in your paper you did that.
No, you did not.
Yes, I did. I said where it starts, where you mentioned Bo Branson. You then mention being the counting method, there being 3 P's or 3 G's. Each being a P means there's 3 P's. There are 3 P's, each being a G means there's 3 G's. That's to mention the section. You asked me, I provided the section, and that's the end of it.
Okay, is the counting method relevant to the formal structure of the LPT that Branson uses?
Okay, wow, it's like I'm talking to a child. You asked me, where in your paper did you equivocate?
Exactly.
Did you use illogical? You asked me where in your paper did you use the term illogical to refer to metaphysics? I provided it to you. You now want to talk about Bo Branson. Stop jumping.
Okay, good.
Deal with that. You don't know
you.
what illogical means, and I proved it to you. That's it. That's the end of it.
Silencio, cállate la boca.
Deal with it. Deal with it.
You're an idiot, bro. You want to have this debate in Spanish? Maybe it'll be easier for you. I don't know.
You're losing people to buy your course right now.
I know you're
No,
upset about it.
no, I'm
It's
not,
okay.
bro. No, I'm not, bro.
Maybe
I'm
you're
not
gonna have to
living.
lower the price
I'm
to
not.
fifty
I'm not.
dollars.
Unlike you, I'm not living in an apartment paid for by my mother. I'm
Yeah,
not
you're
you,
living
bro.
in Morocco by your grifted fans.
No, I'm not. I'm actually living here with my own business, unlike you.
Yeah, the
But you're too
business of
stupid.
grifting.
You're too stupid to keep up with
It's
that. So
because your GoFundMe gets $5,000 from people you
Silencio,
grift.
why do people want to follow me and donate to me and not you? It's because you're an idiot.
It's because you're a
So
grifter who
it's
charges
because
$500. I don't charge anything
it's
for my
because you
papers.
don't. Yeah, because they're not worth anything. They're not even
Because
worth,
it's
they're
my
not
first
even,
paper
they're
I
not
put
even,
out.
they're not even worth toilet paper, dude. You can't even properly distinguish between than and then. You're an idiot. Than and then, dude.
Oh my God.
How much
You
time
can't
did you
distinguish
spend?
between
How much time did
illogical
you?
and
How much
metaphysically
time did you spend
incoherent.
proofreading your paper when you don't know the difference between THAN and THEN?
Proofreading your paper.
How much time did you spend, dude? You don't know the difference between than and then.
You don't know the difference
You're an
between
idiot.
metaphysically
You're an
impossible and
idiot.
logically
You
impossible. You don't know the difference.
because in the discussion of the logical problem of the Trinity, Branson discusses counting methods. Do you know that?
Yeah, that's because in his paper, if you read his dissertation, he distinguishes LPT from MPT. Do you know what the MPT stands for?
Oh, okay, so let's look at what Branson's paper actually says. Okay,
Look at, of course. You don't even know what you're
let's look
talking
what
about.
he actually says. Let's look what he actually says. He's going over the LPT in his paper, which is literally
Address
called,
what I said about your paper.
I am addressing it. This is my
No,
1
address
minute.
what I
Now,
said about
this
your
is my 1 minute.
equivocation.
This is my 1 minute. Be quiet.
Address what I said about your equivocation.
I am addressing
No,
it.
you're
I'm
not. You're jumping
educating
about
you.
Branson's paper, which you don't even
Silencio,
understand.
be
You don't even know
quiet,
how to read a
Silencio. I'm
formalization,
educating
as
you.
you demonstrated on Nick.
I'm educating you, Silencio. Be quiet.
How can you educate someone when you don't know how to read
quiet,
basic
dude.
formalizations?
Dude, you don't even know how to read basic English. You don't know the difference between then and then. You're an idiot.
That's a good one.
Exactly. All you can do is
You don't know
laugh
how to
because you know
read
it's
basic
true.
formalizations. How can we
Do you know
learn
the
from
difference
you?
between then and then? Or should
Do
I
you know the
speak in
difference
Spanish
between
for you?
logically impossible and
Should I speak
metaphysically
in
impossible?
Spanish for you?
Do you know the
Should I-
difference between metaphysically
Can I-
impossible
can I-
and logically impossible?
You want me to speak in Spanish for you? Is that better?
You only speak English.
You really? That's
Yeah.
what you think? Okay.
Speak some Arabic for us.
So I just did earlier, but you weren't listening.
Yeah,
So
you're
be
gonna
quiet
recite the
now.
Quran or
It's my
something.
1 minute. It's my 1 minute. Be quiet.
I want you to stay on topic. Stay on
Be
topic.
quiet, Silencio.
Stay on topic.
Be quiet, Silencio.
Stay on topic.
Be quiet. You're the
Stay on
only one
topic.
interrupting. You're the only one.
I'm going to interrupt you if you move topics.
Remember
Don't
what
shift
you said
topics.
on your live that you said if I came up, you weren't
Don't
going to interrupt me
shift
even
topics.
once. You weren't going
Don't
to
shift
interrupt me
topics.
even
Yeah,
once.
and you didn't come up. And you didn't come up. Do you know what a conditional is? You know what a conditional is? That's another thing in logic.
Your TikTok. You were going to remove your
That's
TikTok.
another.
We're going to remove your TikTok.
If
account.
you come up, right? Not
Dude,
if I come up. Do you know what a conditional is?
This is the last time.
Do you know what a
I
conditional
have 1
is?
minute. If you interrupt me, I'm removing you from the live.
Do you
That's
know what a
Okay.
conditional is?
So I'm gonna tell you.
Do you know what a
about-
conditional
I'm
is?
gonna tell you about this. And if you remove me, if you keep talking,
I won't remove you. I don't have the
I'm
power
gonna-
to do that.
I'm gonna remove you. I'm gonna remove
Stay
you.
on topic.
Okay. So I'm gonna
Stay on
ask you a
topic.
simple. I'm gonna ask you a simple question.
Stay on topic.
I'm gonna ask you a simple
You asked me where in
question.
your paper did you say metaphysically illogical?
Exactly, you failed miserably.
I
You
showed
failed
you.
miserably.
It's that simple. You got to respond to that.
You failed miserably. So I'm going to ask you the question.
Nothing about Bo Branson. Nothing about Bo Branson.
No, because it's going to expose how stupid you are.
No, it's because you're so dumb you
criticism-
can't even track
because
your line of
criticism
questioning.
Of me, your
That hat
criticism
is
of me,
too tight on your fucking head. You're
criticism
so
of
dumb.
me-
You
your
don't even know what you're
criticism
asking.
Of me would apply to Branson.
Follow your
That's how
own.
dumb you
Follow
are.
your own line of
Okay,
reasoning.
That's enough, dude. You're out of here.
Yeah, you're a
outta
clown.
here, bro.
You're
You're
a
an
clown.
idiot.
You're a
an idiot,
grifter.
Silencio. You're an idiot. Little boy who has long hair when Paul tells him, dude, you can't have long hair. Are you this stupid? Now, let me explain something to Silencio and co. How dumb these people actually are. Okay? He thinks that the counting method, when you go into counting method, you're no longer talking about the LPT, you're talking about the MPT. You are an idiot. Complete dumbass. That shows how stupid you are. Why? Because to even get the contradiction in one of the forms of the LPT, it assumes and is based upon the classical counting method. You idiot. You only gave one example about the modalism worry, but the polytheism worry of asserting that the Father's God, the Son is God, the Holy Spirit's God, the Father is not the Son, the Father is not the Holy Spirit, the Son is not the Holy Spirit, there's one God. One way that you get an inconsistent set is that by assuming that we count gods in these statements by classical identity, such that if the Father's God, the Son is God, and the Holy Spirit's God, and they're distinct persons, they would count as three gods, but yet in the final premise, it says there's only one God. So you dumbass, the main form of the LPT assumes the classical counting method in order to derive a contradiction that you're simultaneously saying that there's three gods and one God at the same time. You idiot. You are so dumb. You don't even understand the basics of the LPT. The main worry in the LPT is that of polytheism, tritheism. How do you even derive tritheism from those seven statements? Or how do you even derive there being three gods and one God simultaneously? It's because the seventh premise says that there's exactly one God. Well, how do you actually get that there are three gods in the first six premises? It's by assuming the classical counting method that you're counting gods by identity, classical identity, such that you would get three gods. And then the way you get the contradiction is you have three gods and one God at the same time, which is contradictory. You idiot. So when you say that, oh, he said Jake is conflating these two different senses of illogical and illogicality. He's saying it's illogical in one sense, in the formal logical sense, and then he's also saying it's illogical, and he's conflating that with metaphysics. And then the example you give is about counting. Now let's listen to Branson, not dumbass Silencio, long-haired boy, wet behind the ear, breath smelling like Similac, still in his parents' apartment, and doesn't even know what's happening. So Branson, who actually studied formal logic, unlike you, says in his paper, no new solutions. Look at this. No new solutions. You can't really see that well. No new solutions to the logical problem of the Trinity. So he's going over the logical problem of the Trinity. The abstract says this. Analytic theologians have proposed numerous solutions to the logical problem of the Trinity, mostly versions of social Trinitarianism and relative identity Trinitarianism. Both types of solutions are controversial, but many hold out hope that further Trinitarian theorizing may yield some as yet unimagined and somehow importantly different solution to the LPT. I first give a precise definition of the LPT and of what would count as a solution to it. So he says he gives a precise definition of the LPT. I then show how though there are infinitely many possible solutions, all solutions can be grouped together into a finite exhaustive taxonomy based precisely on those features which make them either controversial, heretical, or inconsistent. The taxonomy reveals why ST, social Trinitarianism, and RI, relative identity Trinitarianism, have been the major proposed solutions, and also proves that there can be no importantly different new solutions to the LPT. So Branson says, I first give a precise definition of the LPT. So what does he give? Section 1, what is the logical problem of the Trinity? Introduction. Consider the following set S of natural language sentences. The Father is God, the Son is God, the Holy Spirit is God, the Father is not the Son, the Father is not the Holy Spirit, the Son is not the Holy Spirit. There is exactly one God. Okay? There. He's giving you what it is supposed to be. Now, 1 second here. Let me scroll down. Okay, here we go. So he says, what is the problem? What would be a solution in the second section? Okay. And I want to show you how this idiot doesn't understand. So he says here, so why does the anti-Trinitarian think that P is inconsistent? Why is P inconsistent? Why does it form an inconsistent set, according to Branson? Suppose we take Father, Son, and Holy Spirit univocally as names for individuals where they appear in S. Suppose we also take God in S1 through S3 univocally as the name of an individual. Suppose we take is univocally as the is of classical identity in S1 through S6. And suppose we analyze the counting statement expressed by S7 in a standard way. And we understand is God as it occurs there in the same way we did in our interpretation of S1 through S3. The logical form of the claims expressed by S on this interpretation of it can be expressed in PLI as, and he gives the formal language for it, the symbolic logic, basically. So he says it's inconsistent in PLI. Is not LPT1 is inconsistent in PLI. It's not strictly necessary to derive a contradiction here. I include it only for completeness sake. On the other hand, suppose we instead take is God in S1 through S3 univocally, but take God to be a predicate nominative, a God, and is to be the is of predication. Suppose we again analyze the counting statement expressed by S7 in the standard way and understand is God as it occurs. There in the same way we did in our interpretation of S1 through S3. And suppose we otherwise leave our regimentation unchanged. The logical form of the claim expressed by S on this interpretation of it can be expressed in PLI as, and he gives again the symbolic logic for it. So what does that show you? In the second form of the LPT, Branson is admitting that it's in the predicative sense, and it's based upon what? Suppose we again analyzing the counting statement expressed by 7 in the standard way, is God as it occurred in the same way we did in our interpretation of S1 through S3. So part of the original LPT as it is set up is what? Is that it is assuming the classical counting method. Otherwise, you wouldn't get the contradiction or you wouldn't get the polytheism worry. How dumb do you have to be? How absolutely dumb do you have to be? It's crazy. He says then about social Trinitarianism. Social Trinitarianism then so far agrees with LPT2 on the logical form of P. If ST, social Trinitarianism, is to count as a solution, then it must regiment P7 differently. But there is no indication in ST, social Trinitarian literature, that social Trinitarians have any problem with standard logical regimentations of counting statements in general or with the classical identity relation equals in particular. Indeed, one of the motivations for adopting social Trinitarianism is precisely to avoid having to give up on analyzing counting statements with classical identity. So you idiot, Juju, you're completely done. When you, Mr. Silencio, long-haired girly boy, when you say that I'm equivocating on illogical, when I say that the Trinity forms an inconsistent set, and I start going into counting methods, you're an idiot because you don't know Branson, who is writing a paper called "No New Solutions to the Logical Problem of the Trinity." Sets one of the versions of the LPT up is already assuming that we are counting God by classical identity. That's how you get the LPT from the beginning, you moron. It's assuming the classical counting method. You say that's going into metaphysics and not part of the LPT. You're a moron. You have no idea what you're talking about whatsoever. End of discussion. Now, let's see if there's anybody interesting here that wants to come up. There's a bunch of people requesting. Danny is here. I just accepted Danny's request.
What's going
Hey,
on?
Danny.
I tried to talk to him about some of this stuff on his live, and looks like Venus did too. And he called us both liars on 2 separate occasions and
I just
kicked us.
invited Venus up. Is he there?
Yo, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
but he's
Danny.
hard. He's hard to make progress with. It's just like, it seems like he has potential, and then you realize like there's no hope. 30 minutes in.
Yeah. So did you guys catch when he said I was equivocating on illogical by speaking about the LPT as an inconsistent set, and then in my paper I go into counting methods, and that somehow
When he was quoting, and then he did a little quip, like when he mentioned Branson, he's like you always do. He quipped. Is that when he quoted you there?
yeah.
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 So
So
you
what he doesn't understand is, all right, first of all, people need to understand there's not just one LPT, right? Because how you get different versions of the LPT is based on an analysis of how you interpret the premises in the 7 statements. Do we all agree with that?
We all agree. And Branson, I had a correspondence with Branson, and Branson considered the identification problem to be a form of the LPT. So,
Yeah. So, but what I'm trying to say is one of the most prominent forms of the LPT, or the worries that many Muslims or skeptics have, is that the Trinity is basically 3 gods, right? So how do you get that? Well, you get that by interpreting the first 3 premises where each person is God as an is of predication. So God or divinity is being predicated to 3 different subjects. We know that they're different by the next 3 premises that deny that they're the same subject or the same individual. They're not the same person. And then in the final premise, it says that there's only one God. Well, the way that you get a apparent contradiction, for the sake of the discussion, is by interpreting the first 3 premises as an is of predication and assuming that we're counting gods in this set of premises by classical identity.
Yeah.
And so you get 3 gods on one hand, and then the final premise says there's one God. So it seems like a contradiction. You have 3 gods, and then you have one God, or at the very least, it's demonstrating that the Trinity is 3 gods in some sense. Okay.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but the chat, you should be aware of the chat. The chat is saying that you have no mods, and the Christians are blaspheming pretty heavily. I'm just letting you know. Okay, just letting you know.
That's fine.
They're tagging me to tell you, so.
Okay, I'll try to remove some. Go ahead.
Or at least add maybe people that you trust. But in this dissertation, he says the LPT is just the 1 + 1 + 1 equals 3 meaning, right? So he says that verbatim.
Right. So yeah, like Branson, his whole entire thesis is literally called the LPT. Actually, you know what? That's a good point, Danny. Let me just read that for people.
That's in like page 2 or page 1.
It's literally in like the abstract section. Hold
yeah.
on. Branson dissertation. Yeah, this is like, that was such, I'm surprised that he blundered that badly, that he thought that the counting wasn't relevant to the LPT, the logical part of it. So this is a dissertation. This is by Branson in 2014. If anybody wants to look up what I'm mentioning, I'm happy for them to do so. So this isn't literally in the abstract section on page 3, technically. Okay. And it says, The doctrine of the Trinity is central to mainstream Christianity, but insofar as it posits three persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, who are one God, it appears as inconsistent as the claim that 1 + 1 + 1 = 1.
Yeah. So then, what Juju is committed to say is to look at Branson in the face and say, "Hey, that's not the LPT because it presupposes a metaphysical commitment."
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was my whole point to him, where I was trying to walk him down that way to say, dude, if you're saying that I'm confusing the LPT and what the two senses of illogical by confusing a logical sense of it being illogical and then this metaphysical sense, which he's trying to make this sharp distinction between the two. And he says, in my paper, I start off by giving the 7 premises and then I go into the counting method. Well, you dumbass, the counting method is integral to the entire point of the LPT. It's assumed, otherwise you don't get that problem, right? Unless you're just going with the is of identity problem, which is just a distinct logical problem in and of itself. But certainly you can't say that the counting method has nothing to do with the LPT when Branson literally starts off his dissertation by saying what the inconsistency is. Notice he doesn't start off by stating the inconsistency as the Father is identical to God, the Son is identical to God, and the Father is not identical to the Son, and that's contradictory or inconsistent. He doesn't even start off the LPT or his dissertation in that way. So it shows the primary concern of Branson and his primary view of what the LPT is actually the counting issue.
Yeah. And there's I think I caught it a few times in the conversation. He thinks by us saying that there's a consistency issue, or at least there's a formal inconsistency issue with the kind of the initial 7 premises, right? That suddenly means that the LPT is exhausted by a mere formal issue, right? Like that it's only that everything is in just getting a formally consistent model, right? But obviously, when you're dealing with the LPT, you have to get into principles of counting, how we normally think of person and God, right? Like without that, right, it doesn't make any sense to give an LPT, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Venus, you have anything to say? I know you got booted off
I
of
agree
this
with.
thing, so.
Yeah, no, I'm just on this issue. Like, if you've like for example, if you ever read anybody who deals with this issue, for example, Chris Tweed in his paper "Absolute Identity and the Trinity," he lists off like 2 issues.
Right.
First is that it's from God and the Son. Sorry, the Father is God and the Son is God. It seems to follow that the Father is the Son. Trinitarians
Right.
affirm the premises but deny the conclusion, which is contradictory. Second, the Father is God, the Son is God, and the Holy Spirit is God. But the Father is not the Son, the Father is not the Holy Spirit, and the Son is not the Holy Spirit. This seems to entail that there are 3 gods. So this
Right.
is usually how it's like understood.
Right. So you would agree that those are like the 2 main quote unquote logical problems, and that's usually how the LPT is defined in one or 2 or both of those ways.
Yeah, that's how
Right.
Chris Tweed
So
takes
when
the
he
issue.
said earlier that by going into counting, I'm going into the metaphysics and I'm not really dealing with the LPT. I mean, how would he understand it that way? I just don't get it.
Well, he probably read a logic book and is like, drunk on all the technical jargon and then gets the high off other people not knowing that jargon. And he wants to keep the conversation that way. That way he can quiz you. Oh, what is a model, right? What is the difference between syntax and semantics, right? What is soundness and what's the difference between soundness and completeness, right? He wants to do the metalogical quiz bowl stuff, right? Because
Yeah.
he's actually memorized those terms, right?
Yeah, you'll say that
That's his game.
I told him it's misleading to construe the LPT as advancing as some kind of a model theoretic thesis of the form that there is no such model that satisfies a set of like formal sentences. Rather, the LPT proponent claims that the doctrinal statements of the Trinity, as expressed in natural language and given what is taken to be a natural, straightforward, logical interpretation, entail a contradiction, or we either entail a contradiction or entail that there are 3 gods, which is not compatible with other commitments of the Trinitarian, that there's only one God.
Right. Yeah, I just don't get it how he thinks that this is not part of the LPT. It's just crazy to me, and he thinks it's delving into metaphysics, unnecessarily. It's just insane. Like, I think that what has happened is, you might be correct. Maybe he's read some things on logic, but he hasn't actually read much of. Forget about Jake and you two guys who are atheists here. Forget about what we say. Just go read Branson on the LPT. Go read Christopher Tweed on the LPT, what you just mentioned. Go read any mainstream Christian theologian, philosopher, whatever, who's dealing with this topic, writing on it, and see that they're categorizing it and discussing it in the same way. All of them mentioned the LPT, a part of it, one of the worries being polytheism. So to say that it's not relevant at all just shows the guy has not, either he's dishonest or he hasn't really read any of the literature on this.
Right, can I just make a point? If you look
Yeah.
at the dissertation of Bob Branson, in the abstract, he says that I examined the solution to the logical problem of Trinity found in Gregory of Nyssa's writing. So this problem goes back all the way back to Gregory of Nyssa, right? So this is
Right.
way before the discovery of, this is way before Frege and discovery like model theory and all of that.
Right.
Like,
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's a point that we made on your stream, I think, Jake, where then you on if you characterize the LPT and myopically the way that Juju and company are doing, right, then you're going to have to be committed to say that the church fathers never addressed the LPT, right? Because, and I just wish he could look at St. Gregory of Nyssa in his face and say, do you know what a model is? Right? Like, do you know the difference between syntax and semantics, right? I mean, the point, I don't want to repeat everything. Y'all should go watch that stream if you want more of what that was about. But the point is that what are people trying to get at in general, right? I think it's totally fair to go to the literature and see what the literature, because the literature I think is on our side. But then even if the literature wasn't, okay, for whatever reason, maybe they drank Juju juice and everybody is doing the whole, like, it's all mirror about formal consistency and all that, the model and all that stuff. Even if that the literature was that way, what about normal people that are having conversations, Muslims, Christians, and Jews, Mormons? We all talk about the Trinity, right? What are we getting at? What are the anti-Trinitarians generally trying to get at in everyday conversations and debates about this, right? And it's definitely not what Juju is saying, right? We're not just sitting down and constructing models, right? We're talking about how are you counting? We're talking about what does the term God pick out? We're talking about who is God, okay? Those are and the whole semantics, metaphysics, and the logic of it all intertwines, right? It's hard to divorce all these three from the other, from the other two, one of the other to the other two.
Right. Yeah. Anyway,
You exhausted?
yeah, man, the guy, I mean, he was just wouldn't
Well,
listen. He doesn't
what he did to
want
me
learn.
is, I don't know why, but he randomly started doing you're close to 40 or something like that when I'm not, and then
And he
started
keeps saying
saying,
I'm close to 50, man.
"Oh,
I'm
but you see,
35.
he behaved better here because in Discord, you know what he started doing? He said, because I'm on TikTok, right? I'm basically a pedo because I talk to teenagers on TikTok, which I don't, right? Like, because TikTok is apparently for only people that are young, I guess, and because I'm talking to them, suddenly he's a weirdo, right? He couldn't do that to you because it'd be very embarrassing, but he did that to me privately, trying to insinuate that, that I'm a pervert because I'm on TikTok, or I'm on Discord. It's just, he's a weirdo, man. He's a weirdo. He's impossible to make progress with. I don't know why anyone really looks up to him, right? I really don't understand.
I've never spoken to him before today. I didn't know he was such a thug. Like initially, he said,
Absolute thug.
He said, yeah, he said he
We got
respects
Mr. Dark
so he
Horse
might
on here.
critique.
Are you
So
Christian?
good.
Mr. Dark Horse, are you there? He joined. Is it just me? It seems like he's here.
No, I see him.
He's not
Because
talking.
he was one of the people that was on his stage when you were there, Venus. So maybe this guy wants to talk. I don't know. I don't know who he is. I just recognize the name that he was on that stage when on Mr. Juju's stage. Yeah, no, that's the thing is that as you can see, he's not just there for an honest discussion to try to, kind of further the discussion along. He's just there, to grandstand and use a bunch of rhetoric and get clips and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't genuinely want to go down the path of furthering the discussion, because I'm openly admitting from the outset, of course you can put together a so-called model of the Trinity that's formally consistent in whatever logic you want to put it forward, relative identity, classical, whatever it is. I'm not disputing that. I'm disputing the fact that when you do so, or what I'm claiming is that when you do so, you're going to wind up with one of several different possibilities that are going to be problematic for one reason or another. Either they're going to be concerned with ad hocness, or being heretical, or having other costs that most people prior to dealing with the argument would not want to accept. That's what my claim is.
But that's what arguments are in general, right? You give the premises that you think your opponent is committed to, and then if they don't reject the validity, then they deny a premise at a cost. Okay?
Yeah.
And if they deny a premise at a cost, fine. They're being consistent insofar as that they're not accepting the premises and denying the conclusion. That's consistency. Okay? But now, right, you're either said something heretical, or you said something like there's only really one human, right? That's how all arguments are. You start with a set of premises that you think your opponent is going to accept, okay? And if they deny them, you show them the problems with denying them, or if they don't, challenge the validity. It's very simple.
Right. Yeah, but that's the problem, is I think these guys are like new to philosophy. This is my kind of general feeling, is they're kind of new to philosophy and arguments and how these things work, and they genuinely don't understand this. Like they don't understand this from a zoomed out perspective, like a very general philosophical dialogue perspective. They just don't understand it at all. That's my opinion.
I think if you just read the SAP entry on the Trinity, you would be familiar with this kind of stuff.
I would think so, but I don't know. Maybe they're not reading it at all. I don't know. Umar, you're here. Dark House. Would you like to speak? Otherwise, I'm just going to remove you. I don't know what you're doing.
Like in the Trinity entry, it goes into like it's not merely about like formalization. It says Geach did this, but that's not sufficient to kind of address the issue of the LPT. At least Tuggy lays it out in the SAP entry, which is from 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And he does now. What is his name? Branson does distinguish between, I think, 3 types of inconsistencies, and he calls the third one he calls implicit inconsistency as the MPT problems. Mm-hmm. And then that's like at the next page of where he lines up those 3 kinds of inconsistencies. He talks about that he's not going to delve too much in the MPT. However, he says that so much of the responses to the LPT, you just have to get into metaphysics. That's what he says. That right? You just have you can't do it. The typical literature responses in the literature, right, imply getting into the metaphysics. Right? He says that in his dissertation as well.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I think. Yeah, I don't know if you're looking at that page. It's like early.
Yeah, no, I saw it.
Yeah. Mm.
So anyway,
and I did have a question for you. Do you think, because I didn't know how you understood the term an adequate model, but do you think the RI model that Nick presented is quote unquote adequate, or how are you understanding adequate there?
I don't know how he was using it, but in the way that I would use it, no, I don't think it's adequate.
Yeah, okay, because I think adequate implies that it's what Trinitarians have always been getting at. It's like what the writers of the creeds had in mind, like that it tracks the natural language, right? I think that's right. And
that's one of the things why I was bringing up earlier, as I was trying to get in how we interpret the statements, and he brought up what was it, truth preserving conditions. And I was asking, yeah, like what are they and who determines them, and trying to get into that. He didn't want to get into any of that. He didn't want to discuss any of that because that's precisely the point, is that, classical Trinitarians did not interpret the Trinity in the manner that these guys are.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, you could look at, I don't understand. Have they been given the example of like a partialist formalization, right? Like, because those statements are compatible with partialism, right? The is could be like, in part whole. So what happens if I show Nick, do you think that this formalization overcomes the LPT? And it's
Yeah, exactly.
internally.
And that's why also I, on my Twitter post, I should have actually included the partialism one, because that's another one that I would include. But I included other models on there that I don't think Nick and Juju would accept as overcoming the LPT. But partialism is another perfect example. You can understand each one of the persons as proper parts of God, and then you don't have the kind of, if the Father is identical to God and the Son is identical to God, then the Father is identical to the Son. You don't run into that problem. And you don't run into also the three gods worry, because each one is not fully God. They're proper parts of gods. So that can work. But is that what most Trinitarians mean when they're talking about the Trinity?
And it's absolutely not, right? Absolutely not.
So I've always said this. I mean, I've always said if somebody wants to be a partialist, then go ahead. But they are accepting a cost, which is they're having to say that each person is part of God and not fully God. And that's a cost to their view, because most Trinitarians don't want to say that. They want to say that each person is fully God, not just merely a proper part of God.
Yeah, and historically, when I've given the LPT, I've said stuff like, well, you could get, you could, when I'm talking to people that they're not informed, I give them, you could go this route, you could go that route. And I've said stuff like RI is a response to the counting problem. But what I mean there is, like, how when you give arguments and the person is so, they're such a layman that they don't even know how to respond to the argument. Like, they don't know how to deny a premise or judge the validity, right? When I say that it's a response or it's a potential solution, right? I'm saying, okay, you've gone in the right track by maybe denying a premise of my argument. Now we can actually progress. And in that way, I think RI furthers the conversation more so than the average Trinitarian debate, where they don't even know what, they start talking about irrelevant metaphysics. Like when you give the counting problem and they start talking, like what Inspiring Philosophy did, was starting talking about philosophy of mind, right? Like, remember that? You start talking about philosophy of mind. And then I said, I had to go, well, look, this is a kind of a formal, like, this is a logical problem, meaning, right, that you have to deny a premise or dispute the validity. And eventually, after 15 minutes, he disputed the validity by rejecting the classical counting method, right? But that's the step in the right direction. It's not, talking about irrelevant metaphysics or even the semantics. You gotta first, deny a premise or reject the validity, right? If you're giving the counting problem or the LPT as a form of an argument. Like,
I just want to comment on the adequate thing.
Yeah.
Like adequacy, the adequate accuracy is not something from like model theory. That's something he came up with, and he just takes a model to be adequate if it's like preserves the intended meaning of like the doctrine or whatever, without like really laying out like a criterion. But
so how does that just not undermine the whole thing?
You can just add.
Yo, sorry, could you mod somebody? They're like blaspheming like crazy in the comments.
I mean, the whole point
is a good mod. For example, Bastil's a good mod if he like can type. Well, I know he's a good mod, but they're blaspheming like crazy from what I'm hearing.
But like this adequacy thing is going to do all the heavy lifting. I mean, you could just add to the adequacy condition that on top of it being, truthful to the intended meaning it's not going to result in heresy, that it doesn't take on a theoretical cost. And then you can do this entire thing in like this model talk.
Yeah, no, and I brought that up, and now he's been using the language of adequacy. I don't see how I think he's just so deep in, like, what happened? If he changes his mind, it's going to be too much. It's too costly, right? He has too much to lose. He's doubled down on all this crap. He's not going to, he's not going to change his mind anytime soon. It'll be years from now because he has too much to lose, too much face to lose.
But I've never spoken to him before. It's just someone who wants me to talk to him. But is he like somebody famous or like a big name or like?
Juju? No.
Yeah.
No,
He's
not
that guy.
really, but he's his way of trying to deal with the LPT now is becoming more popular because just has like a few fanboys and they're trying to spread this whole thing and they think
Well,
it's
yeah,
like
what happened
the
was
greatest new
the
solution to the
popular
LPT.
yeah, what happened was the popular apologists really don't know anything. And so they look around and for someone that sounds like they know what they're talking about, which Juju, I'll give it to him. He sounds like, he knows what he's talking about because he likes logic. He likes all that stuff. I think he teaches logic or something. Could be wrong about that. And so they hear him, and then because they're so desperate, they have no good responses to the LPT. They just go to him and try to get a response, right? For example, I remember Nick was on his live trying to understand relative identity. And then other people have been like, so they're like his source because there's like no one that can actually, they have no resources for giving responses to the problem other than like people like Juju.
No, I see.
Well, what happened
No,
is,
Omar, you should have warned me that he's like a thug though.
well, I mean, I said he's like obnoxious and stuff, but the thing is, the other guy told you to discuss with him earlier. I wasn't even thinking about that, but you're like, okay. So, when you agreed to it, I'm like, I mean, let's get him here. Remember in the beginning when I brought him up?
I mean, I thought he like genuinely wants to have a conversation. I was interested in like what I had to say. I didn't know he was going to go into like a debate.
I mean, I know he's not, but remember when I brought him
But
up, I
it's
said,
fun.
let's
But
not.
it's like fine. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, let's not talk over each other. Let's not insult each other. Let's go back and forth. I said that from the beginning, like it's recorded. And it got to a point where he just kept cutting over you. And it's funny because his friends are actually clapping for him when he said, go ahead, I'll let you speak. And then once you start speaking, he interrupts you like not even 1 second after. It was so embarrassing for him to do that. That's a really bad look on him. And even I have some of his friends even telling me that, yeah, that was a bad look for him. But I'm not going to say who they are. But it's actually funny how I was like, yo, okay, so tell him why you think it's ad hoc. And then he just starts speaking over you right away. So I said, okay, let me put it on Showtime. So I put it on Showtime and then he runs away. I put it on Showtime and he runs away from the Showtime. I'm like, yo, what the heck? This guy genuinely does not want anyone to speak because let's be honest, guys, this is what's going to happen. Venus is going to say, I don't care whether you can find some model where it's formally consistent. The LPT, that's not the only point of the LPT. And he was going to get into the probability of his belief being true. And he was going to get into epistemology. And Juju knows he's trash at that. So he had to panic because he knows if that gets into Venus's realm, then he's baked. His realm is going to be the realm of, logic and all of that. But as soon as he gets to even metaphysics, he sucks at, by the way. He himself admit to multiple of our brothers that he sucks at metaphysics, funny enough. But as soon as he gets into Venus's realm, which is going to be talking about the probability of his belief being true based on this and whether it's ad hoc and all of this, he ran away because he's terrified of discussing that. It's clear. And then Venus even followed him into his own live afterwards. And Juju kicked him. Like, the guy's terrified, bro.
I wonder where
how did it go with you and him? I didn't see all of it.
I didn't see any of it. Venus, did he kick you? He said you lied. What's that about?
So he asked me like, is it like a formal issue, which I just took to explain that I don't think the LPT is a thesis about like model theory, saying that there's no model to interpret it. And then he said I'm saying something different when I'm explaining how it's an ad hoc rescue later on. And that's why he got focused on that's a contradiction. And then Omar was like, "Hey guys, like stop. Let's Venus explain the ad hoc, the problem with his reply to the ad hoc objection, because that's why I asked Venus to talk about in the beginning." So he left. So when I went there to like continue discussion of the ad hoc, the first thing he says is, "Oh, you lied. We clipped you," with like zero charitability. And then I'm like asking him, "Is the only interpretation that I lied? It could be like I misspoke or I misunderstood you or you misunderstood me," and he just kept emphasizing that I'm lying, and then he kicked me down, saying,
Yeah,
"Oh,
he
like
did the same thing to me. He did the same thing to me. And I want to point out, you can say that it's not a proper characterization to understand the LPT in terms of just providing a formally consistent model, right? And still say that the LPT, right, it starts with it's presented as a formal inconsistency. Those are not incompatible, right? There is a model that traditionally we offer, right, that given principles of accounting and how we understand these terms and the Trinitarian statements, right, that is formally inconsistent. We do that all the time, right? The point is that it's not exhausted by finding that a solution for the LPT isn't just merely finding a model that's formally consistent. Those are compatible statements. Just cheerleaders. I wonder if they left. I think I want to.
Yeah, one of them I tried to bring up who was on the stage when Venus was there, but I don't know.
Where are the pom poms? Yeah, I was ready for the pom poms.
I think the guy you added was Muslim. The other Omar guy, but I think he's like a fan of his or something. I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe Omar
okay.
Lighthouse knows.
What about, we have a few people requesting Isaiah. Does anybody know him? Or M?
I know an M, but no, I don't know. It might be a different one. I don't know those names.
Let's try it out. Let's see. Isaiah, I just accepted your request. M, I just accepted your request.
Oh, M is Moses. All right. Moses is a Trinitarian, I believe. I think he recently became one, but not.
Well, he's bad faith, bro. But the whole reason why Juju was terrified earlier today is because as soon as he starts talking about what it means for something to be ad hoc and why it's ad hoc, he knows it's not going to go good for him. And he just would not let the guy speak. It was such a bad look.
Yeah, I don't really see anybody else. I think his fanboys probably left.
It's one thing to be bad faith or be stupid in these debates, but I'm telling you, Juju is just an evil person in general. Like, it's just, there's not that many.
His paper was so bad, bro. His paper was so embarrassing. Christians, listen, just ask me. I can write a better paper than what your friend did.
Well, I didn't read.
This guy had so many
read
grammatical errors, bro, and he made so many blunders. Like, he even blundered on when he's put. He's like, oh, this is a Peter identity, and he predicated. He quantified over all predicates. Like, this guy is embarrassing. This guy is actually embarrassing, bro. So many blunders in his one paper. He's even confused what ad hoc is.
Yeah, isn't also like the relative identity axiom he gave is just wrong. You just turned it into like Leibniz's law.
Yeah, he quantified over all predicates. He didn't know what he's talking about. But it's just funny how he did not want to discuss what was relevant on the live at the time. We wanted to have him talk to Venus about why he believes it's ad hoc, because Venus said it's ad hoc, and he'd never gotten to that discussion. He was just yapping about, it's going to be one model, and this is what he does. Because he knows as soon as he gets into that realm, he's baked. He knows that. That's why he kicked him off of his own live. Like, Christians, tell me, why would Juju kick Venus off of his own live if he was actually man enough to have that debate? Ask yourself that, Christians. Come on now. It's his own live. And he muted Venus, by the way, without him even needing to be muted. He was crying about being muted once on my live because he was constantly interrupting. But he muted Venus when he wasn't even doing anything wrong. So that's funny, man.
He called who's the other? I don't get them confused. I get the Venus. Who do people confuse? Vienna. He called Vienna a gibberator. He called me a gibberator, and he called Detroyer, aka Friction, a gibberator. Right? This guy's just like, it's just so arrogant, man. It's crazy. Guys, and for those that are about the mods, I'll just let you know, Jake doesn't go live on TikTok very often. He doesn't have it all set up, and he doesn't know that there's a lot of there's literally blaspheme wars. He's not aware of all anything.
Yeah, Madar is also a good mod. Madar is also a really good mod. I've known him for years.
I don't know what to do. I already modded 2 people.
Yeah, well, but Jake, you're not like reading the chat, right? You're that, and that's that. They should know that because it's not like you're looking at the blasphemy and you don't care, right? Like that's not what's going on. It's just that you're focused on what you're saying, and so
Yeah, I want to bring this guy Muhammad Proud Salafi up. I would like to bring him up because I don't know what he's talking about. How do I invite him? I invited you up, bro. You keep talking about me in the chat. I don't know what you're on about. Let's see.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
What's up?
What's your problem?
Yeah, I don't know, Jake. I spoke to you like a few months ago on Speakings Live.
I don't recall.
You seemed a lot more conducive to advice back then.
What advice?
You were having the back and forth with Muslims about their tier list.
Okay, so what?
This is a long time ago. Yeah, I don't know why you brought me up. To be honest, I'm confused.
Because you keep commenting about Jake. You're saying Jake is saying this about this person and that and this. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I was just joking mostly in the chat, but yeah, you have said stuff about Vienna in the past, in comments and stuff. But yeah, most of it was just in jest, to be honest.
Okay. Well, whatever. I'm taking things straightforward as they are in the chat.
Yeah, I just another general advice to just avoid debating with the ilk of David Wood, and stuff like that, stuff that contradicts, what the companions would have done, what the Prophet peace and blessings be upon him would have done, things like this, debating blasphemers, debating people who constantly talk down on the Deen, who eat the Quran, who wear the Quran, and so on and so forth. But to be honest, Jake, originally,
I'm not going to take that advice, but I heard you.
I mean, it's up to your purview, obviously, if you're going to take the advice or not. But all I'm doing is quoting you things from the pious predecessors, and I'd like to think all of us try and imitate them. So yeah, it's up to you, obviously.
Beautiful advice, mashallah.
Oh, but yeah, Jake, I've always, I even said months ago that I've always respected your character before doing these types of things. Wallahi, I always respected your character, and I thought you were quite an intelligent and quite a good representative of Salafiyya and of the orthodoxy. Given like the comparative people that we have online, I thought you were one of the better ones, and that's why I was so strong against you when you started debating these blasphemers regularly. That was it.
They're all blasphemers.
Wait, I qualified it. I said the ilk of David Wood and people like that.
They're all the same. That's what you don't understand.
No, but if we're speaking off the apparent, a person who's eating the Quran and wearing the Quran.
What about people who sit with those people?
Yeah, those people are equally as bad.
Right, and that's all of them. They're all friends with David Wood. All of them are either friends with David Wood or Sam Shamoon or Christian Prince or any of these guys. Just like Chris, Speaker's Corner, got punched in the face. He then went on David Wood's stream, and they're all doing this stuff. And he's saying, "Oh, I don't agree with it, and I'm not doing it." And he's sitting with them. So you guys, what you don't understand is if you actually followed strictly what you want to be followed, you wouldn't be able to debate anybody. Otherwise, you'd be a hypocrite.
I don't think that's strictly true.
Yeah, I know you don't think it's true, but I'm telling you. Like, what do you think this Juju character? You don't think he's a blasphemer? You don't think he's sits around other people that do that?
Wait. Number one, because of Juju's stance, I was actually one of the people that was speaking against engaging with Juju because he constantly brings this moral argument against the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. And not only outside of bringing the argument, right, he continuously insults the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and compares him to disgusting figures in the world. So I think engaging with him.
Wait.
the distinction is, I'm just drawing a general distinction, and I'm saying off the apparent, we can tell who is worse in terms of the Christian scene. And I actually hold the position that generally speaking, this type of debate, it brings no benefit. And unless you're on the level of a scholar or someone close to the level of the scholar, and there's you can bring me you weighing up the pros and the cons, and you weighing up whether it's needed, because there's a lot of conditions and shurut you have to.
Exactly, but that's ijtihad.
It differs. Also, none of us are at the level to do that type of issue. I don't think any of us are at that level where we can make that judgment, because you need so much adillah, you need so much understanding. But I do think that there needs to be a pragmatic approach, because people are going to debate. I understand that you debate, and this is part of your livelihood.
Give me some popular normal Christians that you think are fair to debate. Give me 3.
I can't. To be honest, I don't really engage with the debate scene much. I couldn't think of many.
That's what I'm trying to say. You give them to me. Who are they?
Can we go back to the topic?
Yeah, I'll just drop down. But yeah, may Allah bless you, Jake, and guide you and guide us all. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, brother.
You said something?
No, I just said maybe we can go back to the topic because, you know.
Yeah, I don't think any of this guy's fans are going to come up. Let me see who else is here. I don't know. I don't know most of these names, but nobody else is requesting.
You could take it away after, but you know, maybe if you give me mod for a second, I can see if there's anybody there I know.
Or you can
That
just
might be-
kick them down if they're not relevant.
How do I even do that?
You could just take the mods away after if you need.
Yeah, I just added you, Danny. Let's see.
Do you have the ability to look at who's requested? I don't see that I have that yet. It's kind of weird.
I think I would just put it on.
Okay, let me see. Manage guests.
There's
Okay, I
nobody-
see now.
Yeah, there's nobody
So,
requesting. I don't know. If
I'm
there's
looking.
anybody.
Oh, there's no one requesting right now. Yeah,
Oh, Scholastic Shia. Yeah, we're not bringing you up, bro. That's totally different.
I'm looking at the people watching. There's really nobody. I think they're all kind of scattered.
The Orthodox I was talking, Mad Smack earlier. I think he's a fan of the
Let's
Juju.
bring him up, man. I mean, what these people?
Yeah, that guy would never talk. He's terrible. He brought me up on his live one time. He got fried. This guy saying under RI, God's not a sortal, and it's not a count now. Like, brother, like he rejected everyone that I brought.
Didn't Nick say person is not a sortal in the that live? Did I hear that? You remember that?
I don't know if Nick did. Nick said also one blunder of his. He said the reason why we have one God is because there's one sortal. That's actually not true.
Yeah,
That's
he
actually
thinks.
not true.
Oh, that's another thing that if this reaches Juju's ears, you need to correct Nick and say that providing your model, right, the one that you gave in the debate, doesn't explain why you count one God rather than 3. It's how you formalize the statements once you've implemented your counting method, right? It's after the fact. It's after you've done the analysis that there's one God that you formalize it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, pretty much. It's just funny because we wanted to see a proper discussion between him and Venus, and he just was panicking, not letting him speak. It got to a point where it was just unbearable. And then Venus was like, you know what? I'll go to his own live. Venus goes to his own live to talk, and he gets kicked. He didn't insult once. He got kicked because they realize that their friend is a fraud and doesn't know what he's talking about. The Miskeen did not even know what ad hoc is. He's like, how is it ad hoc? By definition, what he's doing is ad hoc. Like, it's embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing. What people take ad hoc to be, it would be ad hoc. Like, we see Don Eladio in the comments, guys, on a different account. Like, we don't know it's not him.
Who's that? Where is that?
The guy with the fake Vienna profile pic. Probably Don Eladio. But it's just funny. Like, I don't know how he has, like, it's like him and his friends are like a cult. There's like 10, 12 people max that actually think that the guy is smart. Like, bro, you could even get G1 up here and he could review everything that happened. I can admit that G1 is at least he can be honest at times. He can at least be honest at times. It's not he's a Muslim. Oh, okay.
I think he drank the Juju Kool-Aid too. I mean, I explained it to those people, and they
I
all
mean,
sort of
yeah.
agreed. They all agreed with me, and then they talked to Juju, and somehow they came out disagreeing with me. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, but I think that if G1 reviews it and he sees like what happened between him and Venus. By the way, he said that in the same live, my live, he said, I told him like, bro, I already know this guy is like clipping. He's like, I'm not clipping. I'm not even recording. I'm like, dude, your boys are recording. But funny enough, when Venus goes up on his live, one of the first things that he says is like, it's clipped. I'm posting it. Like, I thought you're not. Why would you say that? Like, it's clear that this guy, what he does, he like sends his boys to record and he acts like he's good faith, but he's actually really bad faith. Like, I mean, you can bring if G1 wants to come up and defend his boy and see if he's bad faith or not. Like, he can come up, but it's clear that he is. Like, I already had
He's busy.
Catholics tell me that he
I
was.
just sent him an invite.
He said he's on a call, and
Yeah.
I actually think
Hope it's not
that
with you.
G1 is one of the better ones compared to these other people, in my opinion.
Well, it's funny you were mentioning that because I was just on a call with a few brothers, and we actually mentioned him specifically. We're like, he at least can be honest at times, you know.
Yeah,
Like, but
and
in
he
that
actually
discussion-
has improved a lot over the years, whereas some people can't say as much.
But like in that discussion between him and Venus earlier, like anyone who's honest can say that this guy was panicking. As soon as there had to be some moderation, because he was constantly interrupting the guy, he panicked, full panic mode, and he left as soon as the thing was put into Showtime. Like you would expect, if it's put into Showtime and I'm not allowing other people to speak after him and we're not all jumping on him and all this, that he would actually prefer Showtime. Like, hey, we can all get our points across. But he dropped off the panel because he knows if he discusses with somebody and he doesn't speak over them like that he's going to look bad. He knew it. And that's why that's why when Venus came up on his own live, he dropped him because he didn't want to get into the discussion.
Z, why don't you come up?
I knew that you were gonna come on. It tells you to come up. Well, it says 0 following, 0 follower comment.
That's all right. That's all right. I let any of these guys come up, man. If they want to talk, they could talk.
Oh,
All right,
man.
I gotta go. Y'all take care. See y'all.
All right, see you, Daddy.
All right. So, yeah, I don't think anyone's coming up.
I mean, maybe G1 will after his call. But like,
I'm not gonna wait much longer, bro.
I don't even know why Rumi posted that discussion between Venus and Juju. Why would he even post that discussion? He literally posted him running. Like what? Like he literally posted him running away and panicking.
I mean, Rumi clarified that he just wanted the entire discussion to be out, and he didn't mean he wasn't like favor. He said like he favors me, and like so he did, and he apologized if he was like too quick to upload it or something. So I just
that's very weird. That's very weird. All the Christians in the comments are like, "Oh yeah, yo, send me that, yo, W upload." Like, brother, we know exactly what's going on. But I mean, if he wants to, if he has that interpretation, I can say fine, no problem.
But the problem with what he uploaded, it doesn't even contain the first part of the discussion.
That's the weird part. That's what's weird about, because Rumi typically records everything. Like if there's like a discussion, he'll record everything. But I have the whole discussion from the beginning.
Like all that was uploaded is him cutting me off and then him leaving.
Yeah, he literally
then
uploaded him just cutting you off and then leaving that once it got to Showtime. Once I was like, okay, I have to interrupt, I have to moderate over here and make sure everyone can speak. He just panicked and then he ran. He was like, "Oh, Omar, you're not tracking."
If you have the entire thing, just let me know if he said that he respects me and wants to hear what I said, because that's what I heard him say first. And then when I went to his live, he said, "No, I just said I respect you more than Jake. I don't actually respect you." So just let me know if you like actually revise the
Yeah, I can revise that and get that, because he's trying to like, oh look, he contradicted himself. Like, listen, this guy said, number one, he said, "Omar, you're not even tracking." Number two, he said Venus actually agrees that there's nothing wrong with my paper. No, he didn't. Just to be clear, do you agree that there's nothing wrong with his paper?
No, I wrote like a PDF, like a quick response of like.
So you
here's
wrote
what I
like
think the
certain things
blunders
that
are.
were wrong with his paper already. Oh, okay, cool. So I was
Yeah.
tracking and he was wrong and he made himself look bad. Cool, okay. So he lied and said he admitted that there's nothing wrong with the paper. Just like when he was talking to Danny. It's like, there you go, everybody. Danny admitted there's no LPT. Like, he's such a dishonest interlocutor, dude. This guy. He's such a dishonest guy. Like, he's there just to, like, showboat and make Christians, like, think that he's actually doing something. This guy looks horrible the whole entire time. Constantly not even getting into the topic of it, like how it's ad hoc. And that's why Nick didn't want to talk about it being ad hoc in that debate with Jake, because he knows that there's a problem and you can't get out of that. Based on what ad hoc is taken to be, I'm pretty sure you quoted to him from the IEP as well, like ad hoc rescue. I'm pretty sure you quoted from the IEP.
I gave him an example of the logical problem of evil.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a bad look, especially after he leaves and he's like, okay, I have my own life now. You would expect him to actually discuss, but he brings you up, and within 2 minutes he panics and drops
Kicks
you
me down, yeah.
because he wanted to clip you saying that you lied, and you weren't allowing that. Like, maybe you misspoke. You know, like I didn't hear anything like that. I wasn't. I probably missed a good 5 minutes of discussion, but I didn't hear anything like that. But if you did, and you're just saying that you misspoke, like, I don't know why he can't. Even the one guy, Kenny, came up and he was like, I don't see why he can't just say he misspoke. A Christian, a Catholic is saying, I don't know why he can't just say that he misspoke. Like, people misspeak all the time. It's not a big deal. Like, I had Christians agreeing with me that this guy should have debated on Showtime. But yeah, it is what it is, man. But Christians, cope more. Your response to the LPT, it's ad hoc. Cope more. Your boy ran. The guy that's supposed to be your god, that Don Eladio and the likes worship, he ran. Looked terrible today. I don't know what happened between him and you, Jake. Did he end up leaving in the end?
What's that? Sorry?
Did Juju end up leaving from your live in the end? Or did you get kicked?
No, I wound up kicking him after a long time because he just kept interrupting me.
He just kept interrupting, right? Exactly. Yeah. The guy just constantly interrupts. That's the thing. Like, it was Mason was on the panel, and I was like I could let him speak, but if I pass it over to Mason, they're gonna be like, "Oh, look, Venus is running!" Like, these cringy kids. They're like, "Oh my god, look, he got baked, so they have to pass Mason." But I'm like, Venus is not the kind of guy that likes to do this Discord debate, bro, like nonsense. He wants to have like a back and forth, and Juju knows if there's a back and forth, he's gonna look really bad. So it is what it is, man. RA isn't even needed to solve the LPT multi-sorted logic. Wow, good job, man. Good job, Don. Good job, Don and all. Good job, man. But yeah, you don't even know what that is.
No, Bryce. Well, did Bryce block me? I don't know. He may have. He said that he was going to block me in his Discord server. I don't know if he actually blocked me. But Bryce is coping. He's mad because I exposed that the Eastern Orthodox disagree with each other about God's theophanies. So they're all butthurt now because I've caused an internal war.
Fitna. Not fitna between Catholics and Orthodox. Between Orthodox and Orthodox.
Yeah, exactly. So they're all butthurt now. And I'm just here quoting their actual saint, what he has to say, you know. Palamas here. You should probably read this. Nick and Bryce should read this. Dialogue between an Orthodox and a Barlamite. Pretty good.
Dang.
Like, these guys think that they actually think, from what I gather, that divine simplicity, absolute divine simplicity, is consistent with Eastern Orthodoxy, and it's just not.
Yeah, those are like
They call
you know
them
how, like, there's like
Latin-
these like classical Maturidis, and then there's like these Maturidis that like come later, like these neo Maturidis. Like, oh yeah, ADS is fine. Like, even though the classical view didn't accept that, they're kind of like that.
Yeah, but the problem is that there are what's called the Palamite councils or synods. There's 4 of them, and they dogmatically define and state the real distinction between the essence and the attributes. So there's really nowhere to go. Like, if you just read it, any honest person reading that will see very clearly what it is. Same thing here. You read Saint Photius, the mystagogy of the Holy Spirit. I mean, it's so clear what he's saying regarding the what is it called? The filioque and the essence energy distinction.
Yeah, the relevant quotes are very clear. It's hard to interpret.
It's a problem that we got this clown here. Where is he? Where's the book ahead?
G1 said that book looks brand new.
Which book?
The one that you just showed us.
This one? Mystagogy of the Holy Spirit?
I actually think that it was read.
You want look, dude, all my books challenge me, bro. Look.
Come on, wait, hold on, G1. Come on, you're looking really bad right now, G1.
Look, watch.
I ain't gonna lie, G1, you're looking really bad right now.
You see that? You see how I get down, bro? I actually read, unlike you clowns. G1, the only reason why he got better is because I've been putting belt to ass on him since Clubhouse days about 6 years ago.
He said the highlights look fresh.
The highlights look fresh, dude. Well, look, I got them here, bro. You know why? Because I keep these. I got these fresh highlighters right next to me, dude. Always keep a fresh highlighter. I actually read your guys' stuff, unlike you guys. But this one, oh, they're gonna tell me this is fresh too. This is like their savior, the Latinizing Eastern Orthodox.
Good old T. Campino, man.
Yeah, T. Campino. I guarantee you I'm the only one on this live that's ever read the entire book. Prove me wrong.
Oh, man, I didn't read that book.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Now you want to see this one? What do you see? What do you guys see here? Oh, I can't. I'm kind of slow. Let's do this. All highlighting. You see that? Are these new highlights and stars and my gibberish writing? Yeah. I read the whole book, bro. I actually read.
Well, I don't know if he wants to come up and talk about what happened. If not, then I don't know. G1. Maybe he doesn't want to because he doesn't want to cause fitna or something. Like
I just invited him again.
He'd probably cause fitna, to be honest.
How about this? One God, 3 persons, 4 views. Yeah, I read this one too. This one was less highlighting. This was more. I used a lot of underlining and pen for some reason. I'm a bit weird. And then there's some highlights. Yeah.
I mean, if Sheikhiana wants to review the with what's it called with Venus, I can send the recording for that discussion between him and Venus. I have the whole thing, and you guys can review that, and you can see how he was unjust and unfair in letting the guy speak. So, as soon as I interrupted to moderate, he just panicked and left. He panicked and left.
This is actually a good book too. Gregory of Nyssa, and the concept of divine persons. Guess what you won't find in this book? Anything about relative identity.
Oh yeah, no, of course. It's funny that I thought I heard him mention earlier, like absolute identity is something modern. Like, my friend, what is the guy saying? And relative, let's even grant if that is relative identity isn't. Like, my guy, it's like prophet. It's like Geach is like a new prophet or something. Like, my buddy. Like, let's grant it is. Like, let's grant it is. That's not an issue.
Bro, Eastern Orthodox have some weird views, though. Do you know that they believe when they go to heaven or in the afterlife, they literally become timeless beings? It's weird.
That's interesting if it's true.
Yeah, I'm looking for the quote right now, actually.
I don't know how.
It's so bizarre. So bizarre.
I don't know if that's what was meant by all that, but hey, man.
No, what's his name just recently said it too. FNA, Father Deacon Ananias. He recently said it on the live stream too. I don't know where it is. It's in one of these books.
I don't think you're getting the point, Mr. Fake Donalario. The same way that Gregory of Nyssa counted humans and said that there would have to be multiple gods if we counted that same way. That's what we're talking about over here.
Yeah, and his response was to say that there's only one human being.
Yeah, that's what's being spoken about over here. So we can show that understanding of counting was actually, it's not something that's just modern. If you're talking about these logics, then yeah, obviously they're not like very old.
Oh, okay. So here, this is from Dmitry Staniloy, The Experience of God, Volume 1. He says on page 143, and I quote, "When all meanings of things that have been thought, whether sensible or intelligible, pass away, then at the same time, with all these meanings, all understanding and relation with sensible and intelligible things will cease. Then the soul will be united with God beyond mind and reason and knowledge in an incomprehensible, unknown, and unutterable manner through a simple contact, no longer understanding and no longer reasoning about God. Then it," referring to the soul of the human, "will be free from any kind of change. For any circling movement of existing things will come to an end in the infinity around God, in whom all things that move receive their stability. For infinity is around God, but it is not God, for he is incomparably above even this." And then he goes on about, let's see. But yeah, basically, we're going to be free from change in the afterlife. Anyway, I don't think G1's coming up or any of these people might want to just end the live.
It was nice talking to you, Jake. I think it's been a while since we last had a chat.
You too. How are you doing, by the way?
I'm doing great. I hope you're doing fine too.
Yeah, I'm good. Pretty good.
Where do you hang out now? Do you still go on Clubhouse?
I'm not really hanging out much online, just busy. I live in Morocco. So
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been living here for about 2 years now.
Are you open about like what city, or is that like kind of like?
Yeah, I live in Marrakesh.
Oh, I see. It must be melting.
It's actually quite cold here right now. But yeah,
What does it get in the summer? Like 42, 43?
Yeah, it gets pretty hot in the summer. It's all right. I don't
Have you picked
mind.
up on Darija or not?
No, a little bit, not too much. Shwiya.
Sure. But do you talk to people that like English?
Mostly.
I see.
I have my wife here, so she
Yeah, that's
translates.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, excuse me. Yo, Venus, I'm gonna give you the whole live if you want. I'm gonna just.
No, just if you watch it, just tell me what happened. I'm not that invested in this. I was just curious
Yeah, I
because
figured. I'll just find that one part. I don't know if I don't know if Shakiata wants to review that too, because she wants to review a couple stuff. But like, you guys have to really check your boys. Like G1, this is supposed to be like your guy. This is supposed to be your guy. He was constantly over speaking Venus, man. Constantly panicking. Like, I mean, it is what it is, man. With that being said, I'm gonna go do some stuff.
take care, guys. It was nice seeing you, Jake. Take care, Omar. Just let me update me on Discord or something.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, guys.
All right. Wa alaikum salam.